What's Noiseworthy?
Good Tuesday afternoon to you on the last day of the first half of this historic year, 2020. 6 months ago, we were welcoming in 2020. Boy, if we had only known, we may not have been so soon to welcome it in. And now in 6 more months, we will say goodbye to it, and it will be good riddance when we do. It's good riddance to say goodbye to this first half of the year. Drew Barrett, who joins me today as Dave is away. Carl Morris producing. We are on AM 560, 87.7, 96.1 FM. We are Sportstime. We're glad to have you with us on this June 30th. Drew, this has been quite an historic first half of the year, and we will have our first half of the year top 5 local and national sports stories of the year and sports personalities of the year, local and national. We'll do that at about 5:30. We would love for people to give us yours, either at the First Bank phone line, 360-8255, or as always at the First Bank text line, 67129. Good afternoon, Drew. If we had only known when we had Guy Lombardo playing Old Lang Syne 6 months ago.
Yeah, good afternoon, Brett. If only we had known, I don't think we would have all cheered, kissed, and high-fived and everything that we can't really do now. No, we wouldn't have hugged just to kind of get ahead of this cement thing a little bit if we would have truly known what was in store for us. And going through the first 6 months of the year trying to make my national and local list, I think Newsmaker was the easiest one, both local and national. But I was trying to not make it so gloomy. And the problem, I mean, literally one of my...
It's difficult.
I still haven't narrowed it completely all the way down to 5. I've got about 8 on each side. And one of them, I even went back as far as January 9th. And a lot of them are are in the first 3 months, is because after that, everything just goes downhill and is just negative as it possibly can be.
It really did. And I almost went with someone I think you're thinking of on January 9th. That may not be. But I almost went with my first half newsmaker nationally of 2020. I didn't. I settled on someone else. But I almost went with Joe Burrow because he had that big national championship winning game, and he was the first player selected in an NFL draft that did go off, albeit virtual, not with the pomp and circumstance that normally comes with the much ballyhooed NFL draft. This year it was supposed to be in Vegas, and it wasn't. It was mostly in Roger Goodell's basement somewhere in New York. But I didn't. I didn't go with Joe Burrow, but I almost did. He had an eventful first half, but I don't think he ended up being the newsmaker. I don't want to step on you. But in 6 months, think of what it will look like for New Year's Eve, for those celebrations, near and far. Not a chance. I don't care if we get a vaccine that's got a 99.9% effective rate and 99.9% of all people take it. There's no way we have that scene at Times Square on New Year's Eve that we're all accustomed to maybe having one eye on at a New Year's Eve party, or like me having 2 on, and when it hits 11 o'clock here and midnight there, it's lights out for me. There's no way you have that many people jam-packed in that small of area ever again for anything. Maybe not ever again, but certainly not this year.
No, not this year for sure. I think it's going to take some time, and by time I mean years, for things to get back to that type of gathering situation. And who knows if there's not something else that, knock on wood, hopefully there isn't anything else that's going to come along and terrify us even more than COVID-19. But there won't be big gatherings down in New York City. There won't be big gatherings on Beale Street. The Peabody Party, which is phenomenal, that I did a couple years ago. Even though they have like 4 or 5 different dance areas opened up, it's still a lot of people, and there's no way that's going to be able to go on like it normally has. So it's going to take some time, but I think that in the distant future it will get back. Just how soon that will be.
We got to really be able to trust it. Did you stay and go out in Dallas on New Year's Eve?
I was.
Or were you already back in Memphis?
I was already back in Memphis. I came back on the 30th, I believe.
Sunday, yeah.
Yes.
The game was on Saturday the 29th, yeah.
Yes.
So you wouldn't have stayed. But, no, I see very muted in 6 months, and that's with a whole bunch of ifs. And I don't mean to be jocular about it, and I sure don't mean to be alarmist about it. But yesterday there was the big story everywhere of there's already that next flu strain over there that we're all going to, be sensitive to and watch. I think it will constantly be that threat, constantly be that I don't think a scare tactic, but we will be scared from it because we weren't scared last time. And who knows, around those bowl times last year when you were in Dallas, when we were that crew was jam packed in Times Square, it probably was already here then.
Yeah, it probably was. I mean, just talking to a lot of people, and it's not just here in Memphis, but you hear reports about people that think that when they go back and look at the symptoms that they had and how bad that it was back in November or December, some people just thought they had a really bad case of the flu when it probably was a case of COVID-19. And I was kind of alluding to that new age swine flu that they've discovered that could be part of the next pandemic earlier. And just hopefully we all understand how bad these things can get due to COVID-19. In our lifetime, there really hasn't been that big scare. Yeah, we had the SARS scare, we had Ebola, had a few others, H1N1, but it was never on this global of a scale. So now that we've all personally experienced something like this, I think it's good going forward that we're going to get ahead of it and hopefully never have to deal with another COVID-19 pandemic situation again.
Very good epidemiology of you, because it was the H1N1 flu from years ago, and now I looked it up, and the new one is the G4, and that ain't an airplane, EA, and that's not sports, H1N1, GAEA, H1N.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what all those numbers really even all those letters mean.
It doesn't sound good, though,
when
you have that many letters, does it? No. It is not a good thing for sure, but what a first half of the year. It has been consequential. We live in consequential times. I've said that a lot of days during this, and we know it, and we hope to get back to our sports at some point. We will talk about that. We will talk about it at the bottom of this hour with Daryl Smith, the executive director of the WGC FESJI, is they are gearing up for 4 weeks from this week for the golf tournament. This was supposed to be the golf tournament. The weather forecast this week, while very steamy, we could have played this in a lot hotter weather this time of year, but we didn't play this week. We will play it the last week of July. And looking forward to talking with Daryl. Daryl starts a regular Tuesday hit with us like we do every year leading up to tournament week, one of my very favorites of the year. At 4 o'clock, we go down to Jacksonville and visit with Brent Beard and talk all things college football. At 4:30, Ron Tillery, longtime of the Commercial Appeal, he will join us to talk about the Grizzlies and the Grizzlies news, all of it, good and bad, that's in the news these days. At 5 o'clock, we will talk the National Football League with Bo Marchant. When we visit with Ron Tillery at 4:30, we will not harp on it. We will not do it irresponsibly, but we will responsibly talk about the news that came out last week of the Grizzlies ownership group could possibly trigger something in the contract to potentially start the ball rolling of moving. Every time we've mentioned it, starting with the story last week, it seems to really irritate people that we are even mentioning it. On the text line and on my Twitter feed and at phone calls, people do not want us talking about it. We had, I think, a person mostly meant it nice with everything going on around sports that last week tweeted or texted in at 67129 something along these lines. I really don't need this right now for my anxiety. I'm not doing it to lower or to try to raise anybody's anxiety. I wish we did not have the subject matter in front of us. Said as much last week that with that story developing, now it is open, full entree to talk about it. It had always existed over there on a back burner, and now it has been moved, I don't think to front burner status, but I've had so many people tell me, Drew, during the virus shows and during some of the shows with race, and particularly after Mr. Floyd's horrible murder in the streets of Minneapolis. On politics, I always get this, and I never, ever go there, and I'm never going to, that people tell me it would be irresponsible for us not to take up those subject matters. Well, we talk race, and we will at any time, and always will do it fairly, honestly, and openly. We have talked the virus, many aspects of it. I'm never doing the politics thing, ever. No. If you want me to do that, you're listening to the wrong person.
Please don't.
Never going to do it. Probably would make both sides so mad at me, they would want to knock the windows out of my car. So we're never doing that. But for somebody to tell me it would be irresponsible not to do those other subjects, or it would be responsible not to do those, irresponsible of me not to do those other subjects, but yet when I'm going to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies maybe leaving, how dare you, don't do that, that's scaring people. Well, I think that would be irresponsible.
Yeah, and plus we weren't the ones that brought this all up. It's not like me, you, and Dave had a conversation.
We could have at any point
and just said, "Hey, let's go ahead and scare people." No, this story was already out in multiple news sources throughout the city, and I think the reason, and I've said this before, I think the reason why people are so afraid of the Grizzlies moving, of not wanting to talk about it, not wanting to speak anything into existence, is battered Memphis sports syndrome. You know, we've been hurt and burned so many times throughout our sports history of getting hurt and burned by professional teams, that now that we finally have one, you can't say anything negative. You can't go after them because they could leave. And if you even talk about the possibility of that happening, how dare you for trying to speak it into existence? So it's really, and even on the side of people that kind of want to know about it, want to know if it's a possibility, they think that we're overplaying it as well.
And we're not going to over or underplay it. We're going to discuss it because it is there in the public forum. And this is how irresponsible it would be for us not to bring it up. Drew, last week, in a matter of not even a full day, not even a full 24-hour news cycle, just presto changeo, out of the clear blue sky, found $29 million of the public's money.
Yeah, where did that money come from? How did the city not really know about it? How in 24 hours, once this story comes out, then we find out, hey, we got some money just in case this happens. Well, what about all the other cudget butts and things that the city has been dealing with over the last 5-6 years? We couldn't have cut into that $29 million to make the city a little bit better in other aspects?
Who knows, with more questions and a more thorough examination, maybe we can find multiple honeypots of money out there of the taxpayers. I think it would be most irresponsible for us to duck or dodge it. I don't think they're going anywhere. I don't think it will be any. I don't think they're going anywhere at all. I sure don't think it'll be anywhere real soon. I do think there are enough stops in that contract to prevent them from doing it for a while. I also think it may be leverage bargaining a little bit by both sides to maybe get some different deals, although the para ownership group really played this 2 years ago and forced more money out of various sponsors and people around town and a little better deal. But I don't think anything like that is going to happen. But we are going to talk about it, and we would like for you to ask us exactly what you want to know about it and get your input. Because as I said, $29 million just out of the thin blue sky, that's significant money to me and to a lot of people that was found last week. We have a very busy show. As I said, Daryl Smith will join us at 3:30. But Drew, as always, wherever we are in our Family Leisure Studios.
That's right. We are in our Family Leisure Studio where family and fun come together. Family Leisure is here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24 pool, only $19.99. 4-person spa starting at $19.99. Swim spa starting at $99.99. High quality swim sets discounted to $21.99 to $34.99. They're offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give them a call to schedule an appointment or place an order today and stay safe. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
To the shock of absolutely no one, the minor league baseball across the country canceled today. There will be no minor league baseball in 2020. That did not come as a stunner to you, did it?
Oh no! I mean, we've known this for months that it wasn't going to happen. I'm kind of shocked that they had to basically re-announce it and tell us that it wasn't going to happen, because that's always been the play of it. Because if you can't even decide on how to start 30 teams, how are you going to decide to start 100 teams, 100-plus teams? I mean, it just wasn't ever really in the cards.
And what will the resumption of minor league baseball next year look like here? Those questions need to be asked. That story needs to be investigated next spring, because next year was the year back around for Memphis's turn to have the Cardinals. I'm sure the Cardinals will probably go to Springfield to make up for missing this year. I can understand that. But also, what will be the appetite? What will be the environment for baseball downtown in Memphis at 3rd and Union for the Redbirds after this prolonged absence? Will absence make the heart grow fonder, or will it just be disinterest? Will people be indifferent about ever going back? Because, Drew, both of us go to a lot of games. I go to a lot of games. And quite honestly, the last few years, most nights, except for the Saturday night fireworks night, that is always a really good draw. Opening night's a good draw. Third or fourth of July is a good draw. Some Thirsty Thursday is a pretty good draw. But you can go to a lot of games and not hit a soul within 25 feet. That would be the social distancing. There's just been nobody there mostly.
Yeah, I think ultimately the absence will make the heart grow fonder, just because, especially next year, and if we are back to somewhat of a normal lifestyle here in the city of Memphis and throughout the world, that people will be wanting to do so much more because of the time that they've had to spend inside their homes and not being able to go out. You know, when you have so many options, you kind of just forget about some things. So when those options are taken away, you start to realize, hey, I probably should have gone to these events a little bit more. Once we all come back, I'm going to go do it again. And I know personally, instead of just going, every Thursday or every other Saturday when the Redbirds are home, I'm probably going to start going 3 or 4 times a week.
That's very optimistic on you, and I hope your sentiment prevails. What will the economy look like? Will people want to go downtown? Will people want to spend that as disposable income? Will we be allowed to by health officials on the 10th of April next year? That and many more questions will have to be resolved between now and then for Memphis Redbirds 2021, and that would be the 21st season. This year would have been the 21st, so next year will be the 21st season of play at AutoZone Park. This hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Great offers on all 2020 models and always special lease options. If you ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, you will. And Lexus of Memphis thinks that you would look good in one, and they'll make sure that you're in one of those beautiful cars. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by at 2600 Ridgeway at Lexus of Memphis and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and driving in style. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Drew, you first.
All right. My top story of the day, redshirt senior linebacker Josh Perry announced today that he would be transferring from the University of Memphis. Perry had 104 tackles for the Tigers in 35 games over 3 seasons. Perry played mostly in the secondary for his first 2 seasons before switching to linebacker for the Blue and Gray last August of the 2019 season. Good news, though, for the Tigers, he's only the second player to transfer since Ryan Silverfield took over the program in December. I count that as a success.
I do too, and look, it's a wave across college athletics and the transfer portal. It never sleeps. There's no social distancing it in. It's always very busy, and I don't think it's that bad to have that few players. It is bad to lose a player of that quality, though. My top story: first half of 2020, as we have talked about, it thankfully ends tonight at midnight. No one could have foreseen this, and no one can predict what the next 6 months hold. Possibly could be worse. Heck, the next 6 days, we don't know for sure. The next 6 weeks, we do know this. There will be final decisions made in college football and in the NFL. You may not be comfortable with how much power that college football and the NFL that they have. You may not be comfortable that even the idea of a college campus, the university itself, a place of learning, is that dependent on college football, but it is. The number 1 sport in America is the National Football League. The number 2 sport in this country is college football. That's how important the next 4, 5, 6 weeks will be.
Not top story of the day.
Not top story of the day. The Arizona Cardinals have released rookie receiver Jamal Braswell today after he was arrested for allegedly driving his car into Lake Erie while intoxicated. The former Youngstown State wide receiver was reportedly still in his orange Camaro when police arrived and arrested him, and was still trying to drive it while he was in the car. He allegedly told police officers that he was stuck and did not know what happened. How do you drive your car in a lake?
Well, I don't know. I've never done it, thank goodness. And once you're there, you know you're not in James Bond's vehicle. I mean, it's not going to go submersible for you, and it didn't work out well for him. I'm glad he's okay, though, but that story will stay with him, won't it?
It surely will. It wasn't going to turn into an aqua car anytime soon.
No, we may have that in the future. You know Amazon will have that out soon, don't you?
Oh, Jeff Bezos is already working on it now.
He's got one. You know Bezos has one. Not top story for me. Plenty of players from the NBA and from baseball announcing they will not report or play this year. I don't think you can make anyone. You sure can't. They're not trying to. And I don't think it will be any ill will by management held against those players, whether it's the NBA restart or the baseball start. That's fine if you don't want to play. But in those locker rooms, they might not be as accommodating as management and as the fans, as the media. But when do we get this from a big star in the NFL? I'm not reporting. Or college sports, I'm not reporting. And when do we get it just simply this? So far, most of the reasons I've seen, family matters, pre-existing conditions with children, not wanting to leave small children, all of them I've seen so far, very altruistic, very noble, very sincere, I believe. When do we get this from somebody? I just don't want to go.
I think ultimately it's going to happen. I think the sport that it's going to happen is baseball, because of how fast these players are starting to drop off like flies, and eventually somebody's just not going to really want to give an excuse or give a reason why, and just say, hey, I just don't want to do it. I ain't risking my health, and I really don't care. So I think it's going to come from baseball.
right now for baseball, I don't think anybody's had to be pushed to do that because I think they're like us, Drew. They'll believe it when they see it. Where's our baseball schedule we were supposed to have Friday? You seen one anywhere?
I have not seen one anywhere. I've looked high and low, left and right, up and down, and it's not there.
I mean, we've heard about Yankees at Nationals. That's one game.
One game.
For one game for two teams, we haven't seen any real development on a schedule. And I think the reason why we haven't seen I'm just not going so far in baseball is because of no schedule, and I don't think there really will be a season either. We haven't seen it for the NBA yet, but tomorrow's deadline, and we know what happens around deadline time. Speaking of deadlines, we're up against one. It's time for a break. When we return, we talk golf, we talk our tournament. We do that next with Daryl Smith from the WGC FESJI.
R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1. Don't miss us.
Family Leisure's here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24-foot pools only $19.99. 4-person spas starting at $19.99. Swim spas starting at under $10,000. We are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give us a call to schedule an appointment or to place an order. Stay safe with Family Leisure.
I saved big money with the Progressive Home and Auto Bundle, so I finally bought that new set of golf clubs. Watch out, Fairway. Here I come.
This is not a real testimonial. Sure, customers can save big with Progressive, but your other expenses won't just disappear. Are those clubs going to help you when the hot water heater dies? Also, it sounds like your money is better spent on golf lessons.
Time to go shoot the course record.
No, but maybe time for a reality check. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. And MLS number 3030.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Happy summer to everyone from the Rendezvous in the Alley in downtown Memphis since 1948. And don't forget about their shipping, but you always can visit the restaurant 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Want a taste of Memphis to celebrate the 4th of July? The Rendezvous, they've got you covered. They've been shipping ribs and pork shoulder all over the country now for decades from their USDA-inspected kitchen right in the Pinch District in downtown Memphis. All of the ribs are hand-cooked in pits over charcoal, just as they do it at the restaurant. And the shoulder, it's slow-smoked over hickory for 14 hours. In addition to the ribs and shoulder, the Rendezvous ships pork nacho boxes, as well as their signature sauces and seasonings. You can order at hogsfly.com, or you can always visit In the Alley since 1948, the Rendezvous. Don't forget that Memphis institution in downtown Memphis in the Alley since 1948, Mr. Charlie Burgos and family's famous restaurant, the Rendezvous.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wolchin and Brett Norsworthy.
Dave is away. Drew Barrett co-hosting for Dave. Carl Morris producing and doing a terrific job. Really appreciate you guys as we wind through the end of the first half of the new year toward Independence Day weekend, and we get closer to the WGC FESJI. When Dave gets back, it'll really be close to time for the golf tournament. And joining us now to talk the golf tournament, he will at this time right up and through the golf tournament. We hope the week after another very successful event like it was last year, the executive director of the WGC FESJI, Daryl Smith, a friend to many and a friend to this show. And Daryl, we appreciate you joining us. And we usually start around this time as we get closer to who's committed, who's in the field. And now we have to talk epidemiology.
Yeah, you're no doubt about that, Brett. It's good to be with you guys. But the topics of conversation nowadays are pretty far-reaching. It's outside of just who's going to come to Memphis and play in this year's event, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's above me for a lot of it. But tell us right now where you think the tournament stands with health officials, city of and county of Shelby, city of Memphis, Shelby County officials, and the tournament stance going forward. Is we're looking forward to another great event at TPC Southwind.
Yeah, so we've been in pretty much constant communication with Shelby County Health Department, and the city of Memphis. And, one of the things that we have to do in order to produce the event is to share with them a health and safety plan of how we would conduct the event. So we've had that communication with them. We'll continue to have that communication with them to share the differences of the event from this year compared to last year. And, we remain hopeful that we'll be able to have some spectators here on site. As everybody knows, the first four events that came out of the start of the season on the PGA Tour, those were without spectators. And then, of course, the first tournament that has spectators is going to be the Memorial Tournament, which was in Dublin, Ohio. So, we remain hopeful. There's still a lot of more conversations to have with health officials and local government officials. But we're hopeful we'll be able to have some sense of a gallery out here at TPC Southwind later this summer.
Yeah, Daryl, I think we're all on the same page because this is a great event, one of the best events on the PGA Tour. With fans, and if we are able to have the gallery, what type of numbers per day are we looking at as far as like the max amount of spectators?
Yeah, we haven't really got into that specific of a number quite yet. I mean, we do look at our property and we see a ton of advantages of being an outdoor event at a golf course. We have over 200 acres of property here at TPC Southwind. Approximately 50 of those acres are what we would consider outside the ropes. So, we know we have a lot of usable space, but having a lot of usable space is one thing, but we got to make sure we control the crowds that are here on property and make sure that we adhere to all social distancing guidelines. So that's kind of where we are in the process right now as we talk to the county officials and the health department to make sure that no matter what amount of people that we have on site, that everybody adheres to social distancing.
I'm probably not the first one to suggest this, Daryl, but through the years we've had the ubiquitous placards for the galleries and for the marshals with the "Hush Y'all" on it. How about a face mask with "Hush Y'all" on it?
Yeah, I know, face mask and social distancing measures, and places that social distancing circles on grass and all of that type of stuff are things that we're thinking of. Because, we said from day one we wanted it to be the safest environment possible for every constituent that's here on property. And, that will be our focus. And we have things, we have some advantages, like I mentioned earlier, about being a golf course. We don't have confined space, but at the same time, we need to have some control measures in place. So we're going to, put our heads together as a team and come up with those and partner with the officials to make sure it's the safest we possibly can be.
And Daryl, I happened to notice it this week at the Travelers because the little bit of cheering you heard were from people in their backyards who happen to live on the course. And as you know, there are a lot of different houses that back up onto holes at TPC Southwind. Are y'all any concerned about large gatherings at homes? Are you is Southwind as like a community going to have kind of person restrictions, how many people they can bring in, or are they just going to be allowed to do whatever they want in their backyards that on some of them are right there on the holes?
Yeah, we have a unique setting that we're in a residential neighborhood, and the neighborhood has been a strong partner of ours, throughout our time here at TBC Southwind. Since we moved here from Colonial Country Club, and they've always had an active scene in at these houses around the golf course and in backyards and in pools, and people really look forward to the golf tournament. Back when it was the FedEx St. Jude Classic and into last year when it was a WGC, and I fully expect that the neighborhood is eager to learn exactly what the golf tournament will look like. But they have a little bit of comfort knowing that they do have some views of TPC Southwind and can invite their friends over, and to enjoy the golf tournament from afar. I mean, you've seen that in a lot of tournaments, that have already been played, like you said, last week at Travelers and at Colonial in Fort Worth. There were several residents around that property that were, taking advantage of the golf tournament and, using this opportunity to hang out with some friends and family. And I imagine that will be the same case here.
Daryl, you're really good at and very diplomatic. That was a great term, active scenes around some of those houses, because there was the very famous swimming pool party one year. They got a little risque, too close to a hole, but that's private residences, and they can do what they want. We're visiting with Daryl Smith, the executive director of the WGC FESJI, and through the years, through the long and storied Memphis PGA Tour stop history, I think the number one person, it's Lee Trevino. If I was handed a ballot, vote number one golf celebrity through the years coming through our tournament, I'd vote Lee Trevino. Second probably would be Phil Mickelson. Third could be 2 years ago winner, the last FedEx St. Jude Classic winner, Dustin Johnson. He's made a statement that he's on his way to Memphis.
Yeah, no, we were thrilled to see Dustin win this past weekend, and Dustin's history here in Memphis is something that everybody's extremely aware of, and the way he went out, the last FedEx St. Jude Classic, and in the fashion that he finished off that dominating victory with, hole in that second shot there on 18 is a moment that we'll always remember in the life of Memphis's PGA Tour event. And I think I would have to, agree with your assessment that Lee Trevino has meant so much to this tournament. And of course, Phil Mickelson has been so committed to the tournament and being visible and, showing up year after year. And, we're hopeful that we'll see Phil again this year. Phil right now is currently not eligible or outside the, criteria, but we saw a little glimpse of Phil last week. He turned 50 years old and he gets the 36-hole lead. And, we're hopeful he can keep that great play up, because we'd love to see, Phil Mickelson come back to Memphis for the second playing of a WGC. And then, so, the field in itself, we know is going to be a stellar field. This year is going to be a little bit different. We are going to have 78 players in the field, which is unlike last year where we only had 63 players. Due to COVID, there has been the desire to make sure that we have 78 players in the field for more playing opportunities. So the official World Golf Rankings will have a couple different cutoffs for becoming eligible. So there already was one cutoff for the official top 50, and that was when back in March. So those players that were already in the top 50, they're eligible to compete, and then we'll have two more cutoffs before we get to tournament. So giving those players an opportunity to play inside the top 50. So we know we'll have 78 of the best players here this year, and being a WGC, it really just sets it apart from other tournaments.
Daryl, that is great news of the expanded field, because as great as last year went off, and it was terrific, weather-wise, field-wise, there were times that there were some lapses because it wasn't the rat-a-tat-tat of players everywhere. We'd gotten used to the 156 man field through the years, and last year there was times that it was a little bit lonely some places on the course, and I like the constant action. So I love that 78. What are the next two cuts? You mentioned the top 50 in March. What are the next two dividing lines, and then how will you fill out the balance of it?
Yeah, so Monday, July 27th, there'll be a cut. So, and then the following, the Friday prior to that, two Fridays prior to that, there's also a cutoff. So it basically gives you, the chance that, hey, you have a week buffer, you inside the top 50, but if you're outside the top 50, you play that last week and you say you played well, from the 3M Open and got yourself in the top 50, then you would be eligible because the last cutoff is that Monday of our tournament week. So, so there's three different dates there. And then, the remaining balance will go down to official world golf rankings. So, if we need to go to 51, 52, 53, 54, we'll just go straight down the official world golf rankings to fill the field to 78 total players.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
And it's going to be a great field. I mean, every field up to this point in the restart has been phenomenal. You've seen just scores just skyrocket. Basically, I think the average winner for the Travelers Tournament up until this year was, I think, like 10 or 11, and DJ goes out and shoots a minus 19. Do you think that trend's going to stay all the way up to the WGC, and we could possibly see a minus 20-plus winner?
Yeah, I think the guys, someone asked me when golf made its return that, hey, are we going to see higher scores? And, I think that, these guys are professionals for a reason. Yes, they've had long.
I don't mind birdies.
Yeah, they've had long delays, and, some of them have not picked up golf clubs. But, once they knew that we were making a return, they spend a couple of weeks or, 7 days or 10 days on the range getting that game, back in shape that, they're going to be able to pick up right where they left off. So, there has been some low scores, at Colonial and then also at Travelers and RBC. I think that it all depends on the golf course. It depends on the weather. There's so many factors into low scores. And, here at Southwind, as Dustin Johnson said, earlier this week when we announced something on social media, is that this golf course, you shoot a couple under every single day and you're going to have a chance to win. It's that challenging. It's that hard. So I think the golf course is going to be in great condition. There's going to be no shortage of rough out here. So we'll see. Someone could get hot and they could shoot a low score, but this golf course is extremely fair and it rewards the best player that's playing the best that week.
Daryl, through 3 weeks, through the tournaments completed, the Colonial at Hilton Head, at Harbortown, and last week in Connecticut, I don't think the PGA Tour could have pulled it off any better. They've been very cautious. They've been very careful. When there have been cases, they've acted on it. I thought the commissioner really led a week ago today might have been Wednesday, with his press availability. And we're all right now in everything. We're juggling flaming chainsaws. You just don't know what's coming at you next, and it may not be to suit everyone with how it's going to be this year. Maybe a limited number, maybe fanless, but I think it's important to plow on and have the events on the schedule.
Yeah, I think that us as the PGA Tour, I think the commissioner has done a fabulous job. I think that, of course, we understood that, we probably do have some advantages in the way just the sport is played itself. But I think the most important thing for us is that this is an evolving exercise. Things are changing by the day and by the minute. And, we're committed to making it the safest environment we possibly can. We know there's going to be, some bad news, but we've established protocols that, we can, implement. And that's the reason why we've established those protocols, is to implement them. And if they are implemented and we learn something from week to week that can be improved upon, then we have the opportunity to do that. So what's going on, this week in Detroit, I'm sure there's some things they picked up at Hartford that they said, we should debut this in Detroit and see how it reacts, or see the differences from week to week. And I think we're committed to that as an organization, is that it's going to be a total involvement of day to day of just how we go about producing our events. But, we're excited to be back playing golf. We think that it definitely gives some people, the idea, the option to turn it on the weekend and Thursday and Friday in your office or at home in your home office and watch a little bit of something that's a little bit, closer to normal. But we got a long ways to go, and we're going to be committed to doing the right thing week after week. And, we're excited about the possibilities here in Memphis, but we're going to make sure that it's the safest environment for everybody that's on property.
Daryl, fantastic to visit with you today. We look forward to our run through the successful event. and good luck with it. I know you're working a lot of hours and got a lot coming at you. We appreciate you carving out some time for us today, and we will visit a lot soon. Happy Independence Day this weekend, and enjoy the event at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit. I know you're proud of a lot of your colleagues for what they have pulled off. Thank you, Daryl.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Daryl.
You got it. Daryl Smith visiting with us from the WGC FESJI. Remember, Drew, in the good old days when all we had to worry about with the golf tournament was a long-range weather forecast and maybe where the Pronto Pup stands would be and maybe who was coming and who was not coming. And if you notice, we did an entire WGC FESJI segment without mentioning Tiger Woods.
Well, we did. I have it written down here in my notes. It's kind of just one of the last few lines that I may wanted to get to, but it's really not as important to me right now. I just want golf. It's not a make or break situation. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And ultimately, I've talked to some people about it. If he does come and we're not allowed to have patrons out there, not allowed to have fans out there, I think it would hurt even more than if he doesn't come, because who's to say he comes back the next year? That could be the one and only time Tiger Woods sets foot in Memphis, Tennessee, and nobody gets to see him. So I feel like it would hurt even more.
I mean, what's next? Elvis returns and plays FedEx Forum and we can't go see him?
I guess so. That'd be the only thing worse.
It would almost be too cruel, but for the event, it would be good because we know what the TV rating would do, and we know often that, portends great for the next year when we got back to some normality. I almost said normalcy. When we do our lists for the first half of the year, have your word of the year.
Word of the year.
I've got mine. Word of the year, have yours, and we would love for other people to send those in as well at 67129 at the First Bank text line or 360-8255 at the First Bank phone line. And we love First Bank, and you can build your success story with First Bank. They have a story and a record of customers reaching out. Community banks, they're the preferred lender of people building a success story. Build yours with First Bank. At First Bank Mortgage, their core purpose is to help you get to a better place. That better place may be a lower monthly payment, that vacation you thought was impossible. Yeah, we're still going to go on vacations, or getting into a home with a fenced backyard where your kids can play. Call 901-462-0145 today at First Bank. Build your success story with First Bank. Visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com. We come back, we're going to talk the documentary last night about Eddie Sutton. We were texting a lot during it. I hope people watch. I know it will be replayed quite a bit. I thought it was fascinating. We talk that and other things rounding out hour one next on Sportstime.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
I want to invite you to come by the Spirit Shop. You know, that little log cabin on Poplar, your liquor and wine oasis. The Spirit Shop has been providing sports fans their beverage needs since way back in 1969. So come in now and get ready for the big game. Whether your favorite team wins or loses, the Spirit Shop will help you celebrate or ease that pain away. The Spirit Shop is open every day, and they're located perfectly at 4848 Poplar. That's the corner of Poplar and St. Nick.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Frontier Western Store is open and ready to serve you for all your needs in boots, apparel, pet food, and more. Frontier is proud to be a local leader here in the Mid-South when it comes to boots. Stop by the store today for an incredible selection of name brand work and dress boots. Come browse aisles and aisles of top quality boots at everyday low prices in our world famous boot showroom. Dan Post, Rocky, Durango, Twisted X, Georgia, Ariat, and many more. There are so many styles, colors, and fits available, you might need a hand picking out your favorites. Luckily, Frontier's knowledgeable sales staff will cheerfully assist you with any questions you have and ensure the proper fit of your new boots. Frontier also has an amazing selection of jeans and shirts by Wrangler, Ariat, and Carhartt, as well as a fully stocked women's boutique department with thousands of tops and dresses at unbelievable prices. New arrivals often. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Gilman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wolochin and Brett Norsworthy.
What I'm saying is, this is the anthem. Throw all your hands up. Y'all got to feel me sing.
Thank you, Carl. Drew, I know last night we were texting. I hope I wasn't playing spoiler alert for you. I was about 10 minutes ahead of everything on the Eddie Sutton special or documentary, Eddie. I know the story well. You enjoyed it, though, didn't you?
Oh, I enjoyed it tremendously. You know, I've heard a lot of great stories about Eddie Sutton and what kind of person he was and what he truly meant to Oklahoma State and to the Arkansas sports communities. But I didn't know all the ins and outs of it. I didn't know the bad of it with the addiction to alcohol. It just wasn't something that people really bring up, and I can understand why. You know, I don't know if I had a problem like that, I'd really want people bringing it up to somebody else as well. But I definitely learned a lot, and something, you know, when you don't live through a situation, it's good to see, you know, that some of the things that happen now may have also happened back then.
Yeah, and man, I lived it. I knew the story well. I didn't know Arkansas had a basketball team until Eddie Sutton got there. All I knew was Tigers basketball with Gene Bartow and Wayne Yates and Larry Finch and Rodney Robinson and Don Holcomb and Clarence Jones and Dexter Reed and names like that. And they played a lot against each other in those years. George Lapidus used to tell the story that when Wayne Yates was fired, and they ultimately hired Dana Kirk after a long courtship with Larry Brown, who was very close to taking the job, that he talked to Coach Sutton during that, and Eddie Sutton told him how interested he was in the Memphis job, and that, quote, he thought the Memphis job was the best job in the country, end of quote.
Love to hear that. And, you know, I asked you, you know, how different do you think it would have been if Dana didn't get hired? Now, I think that Eddie.
Well, they were both great coaches.
Yeah, and Eddie Sutton probably could have gotten the exact same talent, exact same type of team, and been able to make a Final Four run.
And they had this in common: they both had to get through Phi Slamma Jamma a lot in that era, and that was difficult for one and all. They had other similarities as well in their recruiting style. They very much wanted to do it inside out. Get the you know, you heard Houston Nutt say yesterday, you know, build a wall in state for recruiting. Houston Nutt was one of the basketball players for Eddie Sutton. I was a part of a text chain last night, and it was long. There was numbers on there. I didn't even know who I was texting with, and that always kind of scares you a little bit. But I know Houston Nutt was on it, Jimmy Dykes was on it, Scott Hastings was on it. a couple other people, and I was texting quite a bit with you. I thought it was great. It showed warts and all, and that is what a full life often looks like. It is sometimes with some pitfalls, with some failings, with some humiliation. And Coach Sutton, he had that, but he always fought back. He always managed to get back to basketball, and that's what he was best at. And boy, he could coach. What the job he did at Creighton to get the Arkansas job, and the stories through the years that Coach Broyles narrowed it down to either hiring Eddie Sutton or Bill Guthridge. At that time, Eddie Sutton really wanted the Duke job that was open, that they ultimately hired Bill Foster, who was at the Final Four in '78 in St. Louis, where Coach Sutton got Arkansas to. But he took Arkansas and he took it to meteoric heights, and then Coach Richardson took it even better. I think the best coach in the history of Arkansas basketball is Nolan. My evidence, a trophy.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all you got to say. But I do like that they did show warts and all. You know, life it's not a Disney movie. There's not a happy ever after. And you ultimately.
It's not a Facebook page.
No, and I think for one, have so much more respect for people that have been through the hardships, who have had their trials and errors and are able to come out as well as he did on the other side. And that's just how life is, and you should respect people even more for being able to pick themselves up off the ground and dust their boots off and get ready to roll.
A great coach. He got to 2 Final Fours, never played on the last night of the year, lost in the national semis. Well, he did play in the last night of the year. He played in the consolation game, though, in '78 in St. Louis, and then it had been discontinued in 2004 when he got there with Oklahoma State. I thought they missed, though, on Tony Allen. His favorite player at Arkansas was Darrell Walker. His favorite player at Kentucky, I think, was Roger Harden. I think his favorite Oklahoma State player was Tony, and I didn't think they gave enough of Grindfather in his relationship with Eddie.
Yeah, they had Big Country on there for Oklahoma State, and you saw a couple of little shots of Tony Allen hugging Eddie Sutton, but I would have definitely liked to have seen Tony Allen's voice and face on that documentary and get his opinion, because as you said before, Eddie Sutton's one of Tony Allen's favorite people in the world and will defend him till his final day.
And vice versa. And Tony Allen and Glenn Cyprian could tell great Coach Sutton stories. And ironic, those 3 players, if they indeed were his favorites, like picking favorite kids, Darrell Walker and Tony Allen, both Chicago youngsters that played basketball for Eddie Sutton. We'll have a Chicago guy with us about 4:30 talking the Grizzlies. But up next, talking college football, starting hour number 2 on Sports Time, it's our friend Brent Beard. That's next.
Family Leisure's here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24-foot pools only $19.99. 4-person spas starting at $19.99. Swim spas starting at under $10,000. We are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give us a call to schedule an appointment or to place an order. Stay safe with Family Leisure.
The Home Depot is cooking up new ways to start summer here and bring summer home. From online ordering to free delivery and convenient store pickup, we're helping make sure taking care of your summer projects is a breeze. And summer savings on all your favorite brands make things even easier. So freshen up the deck, fire up the grill. Summer's here, and it's as close as your own backyard. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
From faulty breakers to broken windows to leaky pipes, roofs, and water heaters, homes and businesses around the country can't work until the pros do. That's why Lowe's created credit programs that work for pros. With everyday 5% savings on eligible purchases, plus through October 31st, 60 days promotional financing on your Lowe's business account or extended terms on eligible account receivables. Learn more in-store or online at lowesforpros.com. Putting money back in your pocket. Just one more reason Lowe's is the new home for pros. Subject to credit approval, U.S. only.
There's a new commissary in town in Collierville. Germantown Commissary is doubling. Yeah, they're still going to have the old Germantown Commissary by the tracks, but now there's a huge new Germantown Commissary in Collierville at Poplar and Houston Levee Road. It's huge, too. There's a drive-through. There's plenty of parking. No telephone pole to get in your way. A cool patio. It's right by the track, so the tradition continues. And this is a tradition that's been around forever. That commissary is famous for hickory-smoked, slow-cooked Memphis-style barbecue. They've got a private party room at the new one in Collierville. Self-catering still continues. Party packs for $5.95. Basically, the great ribs, the great pulled shoulder, the great deviled eggs. Everything is there in Collierville and Germantown now. So there is now a Germantown and Collierville style of barbecue. It's called Germantown Commissary.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Periscope. Don't miss out on anything. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 on social media. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Right now with Drew Barrett co-hosting with me as Dave's away. He'll be back soon after much deserved time off, getting ready for this second half of the year. Drew, on right after the start of the new calendar year, we make predictions for the new year. We don't do that. We're not going to do that next week or even the latter part of this week for the balance of this year. Nobody on earth could have made this prediction, could they?
No, I know for certain I definitely didn't, and never would have crossed my mind even to do it. But
if they could have, it would have made Nostradamus look like a piker, wouldn't it?
It surely would. And if somebody would have came to me when we do this list on somebody on text line, like, hey, there's going to be a global pandemic this year. We're not going to have any sports up until about mid-June is when we're kind of finally get something going.
Serious topics only.
With golf, we'd laugh them off the text line.
Oh, we would have, because you just could not have forecasted this, but we have dealt with it, and we just got a text at 67129 at the First Bank text line. I feel your angst. I know it. We all have it. It has been quite something for us, much more for many others. Anytime I want to kind of get a little bit, I want my sports. Think about those frontline workers, and especially in that March, April period in New York City when they were dressed looking like Neil Armstrong getting ready to walk on the moon.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, the stuff that those doctors and nurses went through to try to save as many lives as possible, and just basically having to look at some people knowing that there's nothing they can do. They don't have the equipment, the people in there to save their life, and that's got to be heartbreaking to just look at somebody and say, I'm sorry, buddy, it's your time.
Yeah, the suffering, but also the despair that those frontline workers had to have. But we're gonna have hope for this second half of the year. We're gonna have hope for our college football season. To talk that with us, he joins us at this time every week. College football analyst for First Coast News, Heisman Trophy voter, co-host of College Sports Today on Sports Radio 9:30 a.m. in Jacksonville. Our friend Brent Beard on Twitter at Brent Beard, and it is spelled Beard. The pride of Walker County, Alabama, originally. And Brent, I texted you this week. Never good when Carbon Hill makes the news, and boy, it did.
No, it's not. Absolutely, the mayor got into some trouble. But I tell you this: when you're a small town like Carbon Hill, the way they look at that, Brett, is any
got to take your shot.
Is good publicity.
Carbon Hill's got to take their shot, don't they?
That's right.
and many of us have driven through there, especially on the new 78. Used to get to Carbon Hill, Brent, you had to want to get there.
But listen, there's no doubt about that. And I'm telling you, from growing up there, one of the greatest inventions there's ever been, and your listeners will understand this, we have what is, they call it Corridor X. I think it's, the number actually is 22. Well, like Johnny Musso's own number, but you get off 65 in Birmingham, and it is from there. You don't go through Jasper. You actually on that one. You actually go around Jasper a little bit, but it basically goes straight. And as you know, those roads head straight to Memphis around Jasper. So that's one of the greatest things for anybody from that area there's ever been when they put in that Corridor X, which is just basically the interstate between Jasper and Birmingham.
No doubt about it. And Brent, you're throwing me off. I promise we'll get to the subject matter here in a second. Don't get mad at me, Drew. But you mentioned Johnny Musso, and they said we were talking earlier, maybe potentially possible favorite players all time for Eddie Sutton for a coach. It's almost impossible for a coach to really state that because you have so many, you deal with so many people. But I think most would have Johnny Musso on a list for Coach Bryant as a favorite player. And the story goes that years after he was done, 4 or 5 years after he was done, that he would be doing the TV show with Charlie Thornton. And when kind of garbled, boy, that was a great play there by Johnny Musso, wasn't it, Charlie? And Charlie Thornton would go, no, Coach, that's not Johnny Musso anymore. He's not here. He's not here anymore.
Charlie Thornton was one of the few people who could correct Coach Bryant. And I know you've heard these, Brett, but there were a lot of some of these
malaprops.
And I don't mean he did this all the time. And Lord, when you're dealing with that many names, I kind of get some of this. But there were times he would want a player sent in, Brett, that graduated about 5 years previously. So at that point, at some point they just said, "Okay, Coach, we'll send him in." They just finally figured that out. That it was a lot easier doing that than anything else. It's funny that you mentioned his favorite player. Now, I'm not saying he was his favorite player, but Brett, if you remember Pat Trammell, his quarterback in the early 60s that died of cancer, Bryant throughout his career, when he was talking about tough players and players that really made an impression on the team in the school and on him, at some point in that conversation he mentioned Pat Trammell.
Yeah, and on the day of Pat Trammell's death, the great quote from the great man, Coach Bryant, he said, "Today is the saddest day of my life." And I think he meant it, but also the beautiful description of Pat Trammell's wife and then widow. He described her as cute as a speckled pup.
Hey, listen, and anything he said back then he could get by with, and everybody could appreciate that. But boy, Trammell in that 61 national championship team, and we're dating ourselves, but that's okay. It's what we do here. Was well received and just beloved at that time. And they had Leroy Jordan on those teams, and Bryant was as the great coaches were. They weren't real easy with their praise, were they, Brett? But he said about Leroy, he said if they say in bounds, Leroy will get them.
Brent, you and Brett, I mean, just go on for hours about this stuff, and you're making this 25-year-old kind of not be able to date himself very well here. So I'm going to kind of switch us into 2020 talking right now.
Do so. Pull us back in, Drew.
The biggest topics in college football, and I think it's going to start with and Ivy League is kind of pushing it forward, is the football in spring. Is that an actual possibility, you think, especially here in the South?
No, I'll be honest with you, I don't think it is. I get with the Ivy League, and they can think out of the box somewhat. I still feel on June 30th that we're going to have a season. And I can tell you right now, after seeing the numbers from the Orlando Sentinel about SEC teams, $2 million more than last year, $45 million in revenue. Look, the money is just absolutely incredible. But I still say, guys, that is the reason we're going to have a season. It may be abbreviated, it may be delayed, it may be 12 games. It may be 8 conference games or 9 or some configuration of that that point. But I still think they will do all they can to get started as close as possible, but at some point, if they see it's not going to work, and look, the Ivy League's looking at this too, is to start like late September, even later than they normally do, is something of that nature. So everything is still on the table. I'm still optimistic enough to know that, or think and believe that this curve is going to flatten at some point within the next 30 to 60 days, and that they will be able to go through the protocol they've got and be able to have some kind of a season. Will it have an asterisk? Probably, but I think it will happen.
Well, Brent, you're too good. Tomorrow from the Orlando Sentinel, college football writer Matt Murschel will join us at 5 o'clock, and we will start right there with that line of questioning that you just mentioned. I hope you're right, Dr. Beard. I hope we have the flattening of the curve, and I hope we have college football. But I do. I'm here to applaud the Ivy League for their outside the box thinking, trying to game plan for this. Look, the Ivy League, they were the first sports entity of the shutdown. Remember when they canceled not only their tournament, but the rest of their year and their conference tournament. They were out there first, and I'm not so sure that the Ivy League, if they tried to do it in the spring, wouldn't get more eyeballs and more attention, Brent.
Well, listen, I've said this now for years, and we're playing visionary here, is that a lot of your non-Power 5, in whichever level you want to go on, and I've heard Rick Newhouse mention this many a time, and some different coaches like that some of these conferences would be much better off instead of being swallowed up in every Saturday in the fall if they didn't go to the spring and have their own playoffs and their own television package. Look, that would be an adjustment, yes, but would I watch it? Yeah, absolutely I would. I think that would be fascinating, and this may cause more thought process toward that end than we ever realized.
Yeah, I'm with you, with you, Brent. Brett thinks I'm crazy because I like spring football. I like the AAF. I like the XFL. But I would actually watch a lot more of Montana's, the North Dakota States, the FCS, and especially the Ivies if we were in the spring. But as far as this year goes, and I'm with you, I hope that I'm trying to be just as optimistic as you. Do you think it's a free pass for coaches that we're not going to have any hot seat talk into the season because of all the circumstances around? It's going to be a free pass.
Great question. Great question.
It really is, and I'll give you a great example of that. It is the thin ice that Will Muschamp has been under in South Carolina. I mean, if they go 4-8, 6-6. Does that save Will? Now that buyout, and I may be a little bit off on the numbers, but see, about a year or two ago, his buyout was around $19-20 million. That buyout now is like 13. So the point is, even if they have a mediocre season this year, and they keep him, I'm guessing, and again, we're not accountants and agents, we don't know all the numbers, but I'm guessing that
just
buyout,
doctors. That's all we are, doctors.
Yeah, that's good. Or that buyout would probably go down to what, realistically, guys, 10 a year? Well, I mean, listen, that's a lot. That buyout, or not 10 a year, but that buyout, as you know, I mean, that buying them out for $10 million would be a lot easier for them than 19. But I heard Ray Tanner, their AD, the other day in an interview, and I'll be honest with you right now, guys, with all that's on the plate for these athletic departments, losing money and so forth, I'm telling you, unless it's just an utter disaster or a scandal, I think a lot of these guys may get another year because with the losses in revenue, do you want to fire a guy, pay him what's left in the buyout and on his contract and his assistants, and then bring in another guy and pay him immediately? guys, I'm not sure ADs and athletic departments want to do that over the next few months. Do you?
Can't be a big appetite for it, Drew. That is just an excellent question. We talked about it some of who may have gotten the reprieve in the men's basketball coaching world with no tournament. We talked a lot about Shaka Smart down at Texas. It could even be Jimmy Herman at Texas after a football season that may not be enough for their standards. But, Drew, I like that thinking because the dynamic of the free pass year, both firing a man for what we've all been through, and then the economics of it, the dollars in, lack of sense of it. Brent, I think Drew hits on a good topic. I had not even thought about hot seats yet around college football, and sure hadn't for college football. That usually cranks up around SEC Media Days that we will not have this year. We've talked about it, Brent. I will miss the practicality, the real meat and potatoes of SEC Media Days. Not just seeing my friends and not just old acquaintances and new ones alike, but I will miss what my tangible football learning that I do every year. That I find out something that without SEC Media Days I wouldn't have known about.
Well, listen, I get probably 3 weeks worth of notes just between two places, being in the print room where coaches are going to be longer than normal, and or in the hallway talk. In other words, you just, for listeners, you grab a beat writer from A&M or LSU and say, okay, tell me kind of what's really going on. Who do you think's qualifying? Who's really going to be the quarterback? I mean, you get a lot of information from just doing that. Now, it's going to be very interesting to me to see what they do virtually. Now, obviously, they came out today and said it was not going to be the original date, the 13th through the 16th of July, which I understand that because the truth of the matter is, guys, they haven't had a spring. They really haven't been together, and they won't have a whole lot to talk about. I'm just wondering if they do something virtually in, I don't know, Brett, Drew, mid-August, something like that, after they've had a little bit of time. And at that point, they know more of what the program's about.
That's right, and it will be less. Now, one thing we will have then will be a lot more depth chart talk, which I know coaches love having to issue those, Brent. And one thing we will miss from this year at SEC Media Days, and it would have been an SEC Media Day first, that Tuesday, July 14th, that we would have been assembled in Atlanta. It would have worked better if we'd have been at the Winfrey, kind of right there in the eye of the storm. That is the day of the old Riverboat Gamblers runoff for the United States Senate against Jeff Sessions. We could have been at SEC Media Days, and all those smart kids that know so much about everything that we're around with all the blue check marks at Media Days, they could have told us everything going on in politics too, Brent.
That would have been just an amazing situation to have heard that, and probably some of them may have done a better job than some of the TV commentators I've heard as of late.
Might be better on politics than they are football.
Yeah, really. I tell you guys, I mean, we'll hear them, but it won't be the same with Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach. I think that would have been great fun, and I can tell you, there would have been, for both those guys, and I'm going to say Brett agrees with this, Saban always brings the most people into the print room. I mean, they were lined up on the wall. Every seat is taken. I'm not sure Kiffin and Leach, Brett, would not have had something similar if we would have actually had a live meeting.
It might have been every head bowed and every eye closed for those two.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, well, one thing I personally haven't been to SEC Media Days. One thing I'm going to miss is asking Brett and everybody else for the daily Alabama Ringhead sighting. I'd love asking about Ringhead and now Baby Ringhead.
Well, Baby Ringhead's growing up before our eyes, and I wonder I wonder how he'll spend all week that week. Man, I'm crushed for him.
I know you don't.
I just thought about him.
And look, that's a great point. What are some of these folks going to do if they're not able to go to media days, and or if they're not able to go to stadiums and so forth? It'll be interesting to create
Brent, two more things before we let you go. One, we started early in the segment talking about our age and throwback to when we're talking 1961. How about this? If we have games and we know the press box access will be limited. How about this one? And I don't know the age to put it on. Look, I'm 58. They might do it 55 and up, 60 and up, 65 and up, 70 and up. But we know how attacking that this disease has been for older people, especially with pre-existing conditions. If you're a heavy smoker and you're in that age group, what if they came along and said, at this age on up, no access, no media, no credential, you're not allowed at the game?
Listen, I don't know where in the world that's going to go, frankly, because a lot of the people that we know are easily 50 and up, and we're not attacking millennials
easily.
But that's the reality. I mean, and that's one of those things. Like guys like Bob Holt from Arkansas, who ask a question to every coach and every player, and usually is first one to do it. Who's going to tell him he can't come, Brett?
I'm not going to, but but for years there are older people there, and you're older people in a press box area. And look, I might be at the age that they tell me, too old. I understand that. We were talking about Eddie Sutton last night on the documentary on ESPN, and how long it took for him to get in the Naismith Hall of Fame, the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's almost inexcusable that Howard Schnellenberger is still not in the College Football Hall of Fame, and he was one of Bears boys at Kentucky. And Brent, at a Super Bowl, I had him on, and you know how his voice is, and really how imposing of a big man that just no nonsense about him through the years. And I asked him, and this was right after the Junction Boys had been out, and I asked him, I said, well, did you watch the Junction Boys? And he took a long sigh and then looked me square in the eye. It kind of was scary. He said, yeah, it looked to me like they had it easy. Because Bear had done that at Kentucky before A&M. And Smokey, the manager, the trainer, very high profiled in the movie, had begged him, don't do it again at A&M like you did it at Kentucky. So Howard Schnellenberger was probably right. They probably had it easier at A&M.
Yeah, and listen, Howard really belongs in the Hall of Fame. I mean, the job that he did at Miami, and then he did a really good job at Louisville, and then at Florida Atlantic. Unfortunately, he had a really difficult time at Oklahoma. Now, listen, he was an innovator in a lot of ways. I always got amused at Howard in that he'd wear, and Brett understands this, even at Miami and at FAU in September, Howard would be wearing a suit and a tie on the sidelines, looking about as dapper as he could be, how he didn't melt beyond knee.
And if that couldn't make it hot enough, he'd break out the pipe.
He would. Had this pipe that he brought out. It was kind of a staple for him. I will never forget this. I was watching him one day. I was just flipping channels and came on his coaching show. And when he was at Louisville, and listen, as we used to say in Alabama, if I'm lying, I'm dying. But he was sitting in the midst of a group of kindergarten kids having his coach's show. I think he had a couple of them on his lap and to tell them about Louisville football. And listen, he was an innovator in a lot of ways, did a lot, obviously, for Louisville. And Brett will back me up on this, too. If you've ever wanted to know what Coach Bryant sounded like, Howard was about as close to, he wasn't even trying, but Howard was about as close as imitating Coach Bryant's speech pattern in what he sounded like as anybody I know. Would you attest to that?
He was really close. Gene Stallings wasn't. Gene Stallings was in the neighborhood. He wasn't far off, and at times not as much of a draw and not as affected with a Southern draw, but Jackie Sherrill could too, and Sylvester Croom could. Sylvester Croom could be talking, and you could think that he was back. Brent, thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to visiting with you next Tuesday. In between, to you and yours and everybody down in Jacksonville, a happy Independence Day celebration on Saturday and over the weekend. I know it will be muted nationwide and not as much festivities, but enjoy it nonetheless. Thank you so much, Brent.
Guys, always a pleasure. Thanks much. Take care.
Thanks, Brent.
You got it. Brent Beard with us talking college football. And if you're ready for some summer road trips, I know the place to start that road trip. It's at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. You can look at all the new All-Star Chevy trucks at All-Star. That's where you'll find more of those Silverados than anywhere, and for a lot less as well. Some still have 0 interest for 84 months with GM financing, or thousands in cash back for our summertime. If it's a new Chevy you want, Olive Branch is where you need to be. Drive one of the new Blazers or Suburbans. Talk about a fun road trip. Finance it with GM, and you could be payment-free all summer long. All-Star certified pre-owned Chevy collection. It's huge. All the Tahoes, Malibus, Impalas, Suburbans, everything. Everything the new ones have, warranties and all, they've got it, just thousands less. This is the real deal at All-Star. Remember, it's not the Pike, it's not South Haven, it's not Mount Moriah, it's not Collierville. It's got to be Olive Branch, everyone at All-Star. They've got one job. Make sure you get the best deal, have a bunch of fun doing it, and do it in record time. Find new roads to Kraft Goodman Road in Olive Branch, or go to allstarautogroup.com. Notable college football Hall of Fame absences. It would start with Howard Schnellenberg. You know, the Baseball Hall of Fame, it starts with Pete Rose. That's the biggest. But Howard Schnellenberger's up there, but they put in a big class, and we went over the nominations a week or so ago, and they will narrow it down and then announce the new induction class, but he should be in. But the job he did at Oklahoma was not a good one, but we saw him. Did you go to the second New Orleans Bowl
I
for the Tigers when they played FAU?
Coach FAU, and just as Brent described him, looking as dapper as ever there with those suits that look like they weigh 100 pounds to begin with. It doesn't look like a very breathable suit.
No, he could work the coat and tie look at games at the Orange Bowl, and as I said, if it wasn't hot enough, then he would fire up the pipe. I mean, what's next? A big pot of black coffee? I mean, let's see how hot we can get. But for him to win that national championship in '83 with Bernie Kosar, and then he left for big money with the USFL, and that didn't work out. Another one of your spring leagues.
I'm sorry for ruining me and my spring leagues, for ruining so many good college careers. Also, Steve, head ball coach, got bit by that bug with the USFL. But just for him making Miami what it is today, without him, there is no you. There really isn't, because he started everything and basically put that university on the map.
Real quick before the break, who's back first, the U or Nebraska?
Oh man. If you're gonna make me pick, because I don't think either one of them is going to be back anytime soon, I'll take Nebraska and Scott Frost. I just trust Scott Frost a little bit more, and I trust the fan base in Nebraska that's going to sell out and support their team regardless, to a very fair-weathered fan base in Miami.
And amazing, both of them in the condition they are in, and they were both, at one time, they were on a collision course with each other. They were at the top of the sport. We break. When we come back, we talk the Grizzlies, the NBA, the Orlando plan, and the contractual aspects that were revealed last week around the Memphis Grizzlies. We do that with the longtime beat writer from the Commercial Appeal. He was there forever covering all things Grizzlies. Ron Tillery, he's up next.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through the midday with Sports 56 Middays. Delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 till 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Central Barbecue is committed to the health and safety of this community, who has supported Central for almost 20 years. Central Barbecue is still open for business with to-go and delivery options to serve the greater Memphis area with the same great barbecue you have come to know and love. With 4 locations to serve you, from downtown, midtown, and East Memphis, you can order your favorite barbecue and enjoy everything on the menu in the comfort of your own home. Call your nearest Central Barbecue location for more information on delivery and to-go options today.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Reddock Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day. Group play and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
Chad Gatlin is your Mid-South Farmers agent, and he's easy to find. Just go to MemphisFarmers.com to get a fast quote or call his office at 901-237-1176. And during this wild time we're all facing, know Chad has you covered. Whether you need to file a claim, get a quote, or just talk about what he can do to give you the absolute best coverage at the best price. Chad is a Memphis man and knows the area and that everyone is different, and he will work to make sure you have everything you need and nothing you don't. Get a fast quote at MemphisFarmers.com or call 901-235-1176.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Drew Barrett with me this week and next. Dave will be back in a couple of Mondays, and we look forward to that. But look forward to visiting with Ron Tillery, the longtime NBA writer, longtime beat writer for the Memphis Grizzlies at the Commercial Appeal. He joins us now to talk NBA down in Orlando and the Grizzlies prospects there and other business matters. But I want to start with this, Ron Tillery, if I may. What do you think of J.R. Smith back with LeBron James?
Oh, I think it's hilarious. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I think it's going to be entertaining.
What could go wrong, Ron?
Nothing but everything.
That's it.
He's a shot maker, a hired gun. I'm surprised no one's reached out to Jamal Crawford, quite frankly. I mean, it's going to be a quick format, and making shots is going to be imperative.
Yeah, I mean, you go down and let it fly. What do you got to lose?
Exactly. No, I think it's hilarious. You know, it just goes to show you that no matter how much things are hyped in the media, sometimes about relationships, it's never really as bad as it sounds or as it's printed.
Mike Miller's got to be thinking, if my old back was just in a little better shape, maybe LeBron would call me.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. I saw his tweet. He kind of
I did too.
Put that out there. So, yeah. But, no, I can't see Mike Miller leaving his family to go to a bubble, not at this point in his life.
And the Orlando bubble, it could be interesting. Marc Gasol and the Toronto Raptors could go back to back. They're kind of the Lee Corso team, just quietly lurking, aren't they?
Yeah. I wouldn't take them out the mix. I think my dark horse in the East would be Philly, though. And I know that sounds crazy because Philly is so talented, but they've
not crazy. Good pick.
Yeah, but they've underachieved, and they have enough to make a serious run. Going down there, and we haven't heard of anybody pulling out from that particular squad, whereas Toronto has had positive COVID tests, and of course there's been others around the league. So teams are going to be not as they were originally built. So it'll be interesting to see. What happens.
I like that Philly angle for the healthy, rested Joel Embiid. Now, I would like to see what kind of shape he's in. If he spent the pandemic lockdown not really working out a whole lot, then we know what might happen. But also for their coach, he could be playing for a job. Ron, the Orlando bubble will be fun. The Grizzlies could stay in that 8th spot, win a playoff position. But the news last week really came as a blockbuster to some, not as much to others, because it was really always there for the reporting and for the analysis, but it was the business aspect of it. I think you are on the reticent that they're not going anywhere soon, but state your case and what you know, and you've got some original reporting and some information that you know.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're going anywhere soon, but I don't think that story was breaking news, as you so eloquently put it. I mean, anybody familiar with the lease knew that clause was in there. They also have to look out for 2024 when the naming rights on FedEx Forum comes up. So it was always in there. The only interesting thing about the report is the timing. So a random day in late June, as the Grizzlies are getting ready to go back to play, this is being made out to be the biggest thing since sliced bread. It tells me a couple things. It tells me that Robert Parra, as I reported in March, was absolutely inquiring about how he could possibly move the team because he knew this clause would get triggered. And it also tells me that maybe the Grizzlies are a little nervous. The city of Memphis, I should say, is a little nervous because, again, random story, out of nowhere, why now? So maybe they've been talking, maybe that they're not really feeling good about it, so let's drop this out for public consumption and see how we can sway this thing. But, I think people got to take stock in the whole situation. And it's not being anti-Grizzly or anti-Memphis, but pre-pandemic, FedEx Forum was not hitting its attendance benchmark. And you got Ja and you got Jaren Jackson.
Jaren.
So I mean, that's disappointing, to use a mild word. And I think people need to stop getting caught up on the lease. There are triggers in that lease, and we'll be talking about this every year until the lease is up in 2029, if they make it that far, because that was the trigger. After 15 years in the Forum, now they have to hit these attendance benchmarks. And the thing about it is, too, when you talk to people outside the league, outside of Memphis, who are around the league, that are into this stuff, they'll tell you that the last time the collective bargain agreement was negotiated, there was a civil war amongst the owners. A lot of people around here don't really sink their teeth into that. And the civil war was because a lot of the money-making teams didn't want to, say, quote-unquote, subsidize basketball in Memphis or New Orleans or wherever they're struggling. And so it took Mike Heising and a handful of owners to really push for some robust revenue sharing. So for lack of a better way to put it, Memphis benefits a great deal from a welfare system in the NBA. And I don't think you should be nervous now, but I don't think people should just totally dismiss the fact that the collective NBA owners would love to get that relocation fee and have them in Las Vegas or have them in Seattle. But expansion is not a real thing, not in the U.S. They're not going to expand. And when they say, well, why don't you take New Orleans or why don't you take Charlotte? Well, two huge differences. New Orleans is owned by the same lady, same family that owns the Saints, local. Charlotte is owned by North Carolina's finest, Michael Jordan. Memphis has a problem with not having local ownership. And I don't care how much money the local partners put into a lease. The fact of the matter is they want to be philanthropists. They don't want to run a basketball team. And they've had multiple chances to buy this team and just chose not to.
Yeah, and that's how most owners who have teams in their hometown, unless your name's Stan Kroenke, and you'll just do anything for a quick buck. But like you, I was a little shocked, a little concerned about the timing of it. But the thing that concerns me as a taxpayer of of Memphis, Tennessee, and Shelby County is where that $29 random million showed up the next day.
Yeah, well, they put aside money to pay the bonds on the building. So I guess I'm not too surprised that they had a surplus. But I don't think people are going to be happy, as you're alluding to, about that money going to pay towards tickets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how ridiculous is that? When I didn't think that people should have been upset about building FedEx Forum, because look how it changed the quality of life in Memphis, with your concerts, with the Tigers being a tenant, and the Grizzlies, and all kind of ways it improved the quality of life here. But now you're talking about something totally different. Now you're talking about, to piggyback what I just said, owners don't want to subsidize basketball in Memphis. And I'm sure taxpayers feel even stronger about not subsidizing basketball in Memphis. Because that's what that would be.
Mm-hmm.
That would be another form of welfare.
Yeah, and Ron, through the years, all I had said mostly when it came up is I rejected the people, some of the very loud, prominent voices that would say, there's no way. And I would usually come back to this, that I believe it will be difficult. I believe it would almost be impossible, but don't say there's no way, and don't tell me you can't, because as Drew mentioned, if Stan Kroenke can jilt his hometown of 60 years, a guy that just breezed in here in 2014 could breeze right out. Now, I'm no lawyer, and I'm no film and restaurant critic either, but don't tell me no way, Ron.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what I push back against the most. The idea that they're locked in. Let me tell you something. When you're worth billions of dollars, like the guy, Clay Bennett, who bought the Sonics up in Seattle. Now, Seattle, in their 40-year history, at that time, had the city's only championship and were allowed to move. You know why? Because Clay Bennett said, okay, how much is it going to take? Seattle said $75 million. He wrote a check for $75 million and backed up the moving truck. I mean, Robert Parra is worth billions. If Memphis wanted $100 million, he writes a check and Memphis will take it. And so, yeah, these leases, they're not all that strong in the sense that you can find a way to move if you want to move. Bennett told Seattle for years, well, at least 2 years, I'm not moving, until he wrote the check and moved. Mike Heisley, the late, great Mike Heisley, told Vancouver, I'm not moving, until he moved. And, you got to keep in mind, when these guys decide to move, they'll get nothing but support from their ownership colleagues. They'll vote for it.
And they're not scared of some political flunky in the mayor's office or some member of the city council. Look, reportedly by many reputable places, Robert Parra, in building his billion dollar company Ubiquity, mostly off of Wi-Fi in outer reaches of China, he had the Chinese mob after him. You think he's scared of a city council member?
Right. That's true. That's very true. Robert Parra has a condo in Seattle. He travels, internationally in and out of Seattle. Seattle is ready to hit the button on an arena because they're getting an expansion NHL team. And I'm not saying that they're going to Seattle, and I'm not saying they're moving anytime soon. But once upon a time, right, Stats, we're old enough to remember when they said there's no way they'd have professional sports in Las Vegas. No way. Well, now the NBA is in bed with gambling. They got an NFL team. They got a WNBA team. They got a hockey team. Pay that relocation fee to go to Vegas, and the owners would have a quarantine party.
Yeah, they would, Ron, and I think that Vegas is eventually going to get a basketball team. Heck, they might even eventually get a Major League Baseball team with the trend is going out there in the desert. But back to the bubble and what's going to happen here in the next month, what are your feelings about the giving players the opportunity to change the name on their jerseys for the cause and actually having Black Lives Matter on the court?
Well, I think it's just in line with what the commissioner has tried to do, Adam Silver, in terms of working with the players. One of Silver's biggest strokes was to get Sterling, the owner of the Clippers, who proved himself to be making racist statements and having policies that were racist. They got him out of there real quick. So I think it's in line with that. I guess, yes, it's the NBA and it's the global sport. I just, and it's a platform. But I just think we live in a day and age where these guys are all over Twitter. LeBron James has almost 50 million followers on Twitter. I don't even do Facebook or Instagram, so I can't imagine what he has on there. And I can't imagine that any one of these guys couldn't call up a cable news station and get on TV anytime they get ready. So
anytime.
It's symbolic in the sense that, people are craving the NBA and they'll see the messages. But again, I just think they have platforms. This is about money. It's not about putting these guys on a platform for social injustice. It's about money. And on one end, I probably wouldn't go if I had a few dollars in the bank. On the other end, I can see the point of the players not wanting to have that collective bargaining agreement ripped up and renegotiated because it is so favorable toward the players right now. You don't want to lose that.
Give me the percentage you think that Orlando starts and the percentage that Orlando finishes with the Larry O'Brien Trophy being awarded to the champion of the NBA.
I think it's 100% they start. I think it's 50-50 whether they finish because as much as we all love the NBA and we want to see these guys play, the idea that this is a bubble is just laughable to me. You're going to have Disney security securing the place. They get to go home. All of the workers who clean the rooms, make the food, and so on and so forth, they work and go home and come back. There's no doubt in my mind that people will get snuck into the bubble because one of the best things about being a young single NBA player or a professional athlete is how much fun you have off the court. Let's not sugarcoat that part. And I'm glad Jalen Rose laid it out there last week when they released the schedule.
And he did.
He said, "Stop fooling yourself." He said, "That's one of the best things." So, I don't see anybody using the snitch line, but I see people abusing the bubble. And my whole thing is, it's just not a true bubble. So they're going to get cases. What happens when certain teams are just debilitated by the absence of players because they tested positive? I see this as probably the best thing they could have done as far as like having everybody in one place and not traveling around. But there are a lot of questions to be answered in this. And that's why I say 100% they start, they're committed to it, but 50-50 on whether they finish. Because how many players is it going to take to get tested positive before you have to shut it down? They shut it down the first time with one player. How many teams are going to have to be just eroded?
Great point.
But for you to say, "Oh, this is not going to work." So
and Brooklyn may very well be that team right now.
Yeah, and so I commend them for trying. But even I like Adam Silver a lot because he's honest, and even he said, "You know what? We don't know what's going to happen." He said, "We don't even know what it's going to take to shut it down. They're just going to play it by ear."
Yeah, play it by ear, and that's kind of where we are. Ron Tillery, thank you for joining us. We'll catch up a bunch during the restart down in Orlando for the Orlando bubble, but I'm with you. It's no bubble. I'm also with Jalen Rose. Ron Tillery, I take winning the Powerball tonight, and I never have been. But if you're not rich when you're young, what difference does it make?
I know. Let me just say this too. I've seen a lot of this on Twitter. There's some people complaining about the Grizzlies schedule. Are you kidding me? If I'm a Grizzly or I'm in their front office, I take this schedule all day long. They go in with a format that favors them. They got a 3.5
magic number's 5.
And all they have to do is what they would have had to do with the normal schedule is keep winning. Mm-hmm. The idea was
and you don't have to go into the road arenas.
Yeah. And so the idea with 17 games left with a 3.5 game lead that you were locked, to me, is just fool's gold because you had to play New Orleans twice, you had to play Portland twice, you had to play San Antonio, Utah, Milwaukee, I think Houston's in there, and a lot of road games. So that's when the youth of the Grizzlies would have come out. I don't think it would have been a lock that they held on to that lead. But I think this format and this schedule, with only playing New Orleans, San Antonio, Portland once, I think, hey, it's theirs to lose.
Yeah, and if you pretty much
Ron
just
Tillery,
win those first three, you've got it pretty much locked up.
You got it done. Ron Tillery, we'll do this again soon. Thank you for your time today, and look forward to visiting with you again soon. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime, guys. Take care.
Appreciate it, Ron.
You got it. Ron Tillery, formerly of the Commercial Appeal, longtime beat writer for the Grizzlies, longtime NBA writer, including days back to Seattle. We round out hour number 2. After this break, you're listening to Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Good news. Southland Casino is now back open. That's right. The most spacious casino floor in the Mid-South is ready to welcome you back to the action with live blackjack, roulette, craps, and all your favorite slots. The action kicks off every day at 9 a.m. and rolls all the way till 5 o'clock the next morning. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and make the short drive to Southland. We're ready for you. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
You've all heard of Casper. You know, the sleep company with outrageously comfortable products at not so outrageous prices. From award-winning mattresses to pillows, sheets, and duvets, Casper transforms the way we sleep one snooze at a time. And with their 4th of July sale, you can save on the coolest mattress for summer sleep right now, featuring AirScape technology. The original mattress provides the support and cooling that you need with the comfort you love. 4 layers of premium foam are designed to provide pressure relief for all-night comfort. Now with AirScape technology, air moves through and heat stays out so you can sleep coolly all night. From bedding, bed frames, and even a dog bed, Casper has everything you need to build the bed of your dreams. And as always, free shipping and free returns. Get 10% off your entire order right now through July 13th with the code KEEPCOOL. Offer expires 7/13/20 at 11:59 Pacific Time. Excludes bundles, the Element mattress, and sale items. Limit 1 offer per customer and order. Please see Casper.com/terms for additional terms and conditions.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Drew, as we have discussed, I think, and we're doing a lot of percentages and rankings on things starting and finishing, the percentage of the Grizzlies moving, I think, is close to 0. The percentage of them that they can and they can leverage off of it is much higher than I think most people gave it before last week's news.
I think it is as well, and you brought it up, I believe, earlier today that this isn't the first time that this clause has been brought up. It's been used a couple of years ago by Robert Parra and the people in the front office trying to renegotiate some of that sponsorship money from sponsors throughout the city and throughout the state. But the problem is, if you keep crying wolf and you keep using that tactic and keep feeding off of our battered Memphis sports syndrome, eventually they're going to tell you, you know what, no, you're not getting any more money. This is where I'm capping it out. And you're going to have to call their bluff, and hopefully, and you hope that it is a bluff.
And for us on the responsibility front, it is amazing to me that some that can weigh in on every topic from A to Z, sports and not sports, the not stick to sports crowd, that's fine. You do as you please. But also this, as much criticism as the Tigers can take for losing a home game to South Florida, and we're not even supposed to discuss the Grizzlies?
Well, no, because
talk about irresponsible.
It really is, and we've talked about it before, where the reason why is because the university can't go anywhere. They can't pack up and leave. They're not going to abandon Wilder Tower and the administration building and the UC building down there off of G.
And the new crosswalk.
Yeah, new
it's
crosswalk.
Brand new. Can't abandon it now, can we?
Just built it right there at G.E. Patterson and everything right there. So they can't leave. So we can say whatever we want and not have to worry about any ramifications.
Isn't that something, though? In a pro sports town, the quarterback in the first half of a conference championship game that if they win, they go to the Cotton Bowl, he can be booed lustily and ripped on these and other airwaves and on all the social media ways that you possibly can think of.
But I say one bad word about Ja Morant and Twitter goes off on me.
But a 19-year-old freshman point guard can have all kind of scrutiny, and we can't talk about $29 million out of the clear blue sky falling in out last week.
No, we can't because we'll be speaking it into existence, and that's the problem with a lot of people. It's be quiet, don't anger them. If you anger them, if you bring it up, we're going to really start considering it. If we don't talk about it, then they won't even think about it. It's type of crowd
like Robert Parra had never talked about it to Brett and Drew mentioned it. It has been that through the years, and look, again, maybe the proudest night as an area sports fan was opening night of the major leagues. We had professional sports. We had never had a major league. And the night the Grizzlies opened at the Pyramid against the Detroit Pistons, just welling with pride. It was so much joy. But now 19 years in the 19th year, I don't think they should be held to a lesser degree of scrutiny that we give the college teams and college coaches, not just for the University of Memphis, but in this area. Heck, Bo Wallace got more criticized than most Grizzlies do.
Yeah, Bo definitely did get in a lot of Chad Kelly got it pretty heavily, especially with all of his all the off-field stuff that he's done. But you can't say anything. You can't say anything about the coaches for the Grizzlies. I couldn't come out here and say Taylor Jenkins can't coach, and that's I don't believe that. But if I did and I wanted to say that, I would get killed.
And we're going to talk about it. We're going to try to do it reasonably, and I think we did with Ron Tillery. Hour number 3 is on the way. We talk the National Football League and the AFC East with Cam Newton, the new quarterback of the Patriots. We do that with Bo Marchant. That's next on Sports Time.
Burkhammer for Sunrise Chevy. Good news for new and used car and truck buyers. The Sunrise Chevy Ranch has a great selection of new and used cars and trucks, rebates up to $6,500, and interest rates low as 0%. At sunrisememphis.com, you can select your vehicle, get your trade appraised, arrange financing and delivery. We'll deliver right to your doorstep, disinfected and ready to go. No matter what your past credit, Sunrise wants to get you financed. Immediate financing with next to nothing down. Need service or body work? Bring it to Sunrise or schedule an appointment online. Find new roads to Sunrise Chevy, 385 in Houston-Levy, Collierville.
Family Leisure's here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24-foot pools only $19.99. 4-person spas starting at $19.99. Swim spas starting at under $10,000. We are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give us a call to schedule an appointment or to place an order. Stay safe with Family Leisure.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Happy summer to everyone from the Rendezvous in the Alley in downtown Memphis since 1948. And don't forget about their shipping, but you always can visit the restaurant 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Want a taste of Memphis to celebrate the 4th of July? The Rendezvous, they've got you covered. They've been shipping ribs and pork shoulder all over the country now for decades from their USDA-inspected kitchen right in the Pinch District in downtown Memphis. All of the ribs are hand-cooked in pits over charcoal, just as they do it at the restaurant, and the shoulder, it's slow smoked over hickory for 14 hours. In addition to the ribs and shoulder, the Rendezvous ships pork nacho boxes, as well as their signature sauces and seasonings. You can order at hogsfly.com, or you can always visit In the Alley since 1948, the Rendezvous. Don't forget that Memphis institution in downtown Memphis in the Alley since 1948, Mr. Charlie Burgos and family's famous restaurant, the Rendezvous.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sportstime is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Final hour on this Tuesday afternoon. It starts every Tuesday for us at this time with Bo Marchant from collegetopro.com on the National Football League. We know there will be no Hall of Fame game in early August. There may not be any preseason games at all, but we also know that the new quarterback for the New England Patriots, and he'll get a chance to lose the job, that's going to be Cam Newton. It'll be two Auburn guys going at it for the starting quarterback job in New England with Cam Newton and the transfer from Baylor, Jarrett Stidham, who finished up at Auburn. This hour brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales. They specialize in late model, low-mileage cars with all the high standards you can think of in the car industry. All the cars at DeSoto, test-driven, checked out bumper to bumper on limited inventory. Every make, every model, if it's not on the lot, they will go out and find it for you. No shortcuts taken. You're treated like family when you walk in DeSoto Auto Sales by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, down-home environment. But DeSoto Auto Sales, they care about your time. They want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. Walk in within 45 minutes, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in time to shop over your lunch hour or immediately after work like right now. They know we're living in a world today that time matters at DeSoto Auto Sales. Check out all the referrals online at DeSotoAutoSales.com, 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience with the great people at DeSoto Auto Sales. Bo Marchant, we were wondering where Cam Newton would land, and it just makes so much sense. And if he's healthy, they really got him one, didn't they?
Yeah, it's kind of comical, to think that, once he goes there, it's just, so many expectations become to life. It's New England Patriots, and we've seen so many times where all-star MVP type talents go to New England and their careers are revived and they have so much success. We've talked so many times in the previous weeks when Cam was going to get a shot, and when news broke, it was just like, wow, it finally happened. Cam has a job, and nonetheless, he's not going to be a backup in Pittsburgh. He's not going to be a backup for anybody else. He's probably going to be the starting quarterback, for one of the most successful organizations in football over the last 2 decades. So I'm excited. I mean, it definitely brings excitement if you're a New England fan. I mean, you're always going to want Tom Brady, but you know that's not going to happen. So, I mean, you know, you exit one MVP and bring another MVP back in. So, granted, you know, it was late in the game, but nonetheless, they brought a guy in who, in my term, and just in terms of, you know, I know what we're going to talk about later in the show, but when you think of Cam Newton, arguably if he's healthy, he's one of the best quarterbacks out there.
Yeah, I think he is, but I kind of was shocked how long it did take. And just let's play a little hypothetical here. If the Patriots do end up passing on him, does somebody else end up picking Cam Newton up? And if so, who?
Oh, that's anyone's guess. I think it's one of those things kind of, you know, like
Chargers.
Chargers could be. You know, I think once teams, if we ever get to camp and teams see what they have, if they're not happy with it, then you pull the trigger and you bring a guy like
that's
Cam
getting
Newton.
late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, look at you know Jay Cutler. You know, you had the injury in Miami, and Jay Cutler comes out of the booth.
Good,
you know,
good
and he
example.
goes down for the year. So you know, there's so many intangibles and where Cam Newton could have went. And you know, he has a veteran presence where you know, guy's MVP, he's a Pro Bowler, where he doesn't necessarily have to scramble. I mean, you know, he can allow what's going on the field kind of dictate where he goes, depending on you know if he wanted to miss so much of camp. But you know, I think you know at the end of the day, he probably can't be happier. On the flip side of that, though. You know, probably the most pressure he's probably going to endure absent of his rookie year where he was the first pick and he had, you know, the fate of the Panthers franchise on his shoulders. I mean, he's going to New England where winning is, you know, anything less than a Super Bowl is not adequate enough, and you're replacing arguably the greatest player that we've seen in the history of the National Football League. So, you know, that's a lot to put on your plate. It's a new team. We're in COVID-19, so, you know, who knows how much time you're going to get to, you know, actually see these guys. Other than that, it's virtual meetings and virtual playbooks. So, you know, there's a lot that's going to go into it for Cam Newton to have success. And, you know, if he's healthy, I'm going to base everything on if he's healthy. I don't think there's a more dynamic guy they could have brought in this offseason in terms of, you know, a guy that can help that team. I mean, you know, it's almost a blessing for Belichick and his staff to have a guy of his talent, of his caliber available this late, and they got him for peanuts. You know, it's an incentive-laden deal. You know, you think of what the Bears gave Nick Foles, and I mean, $21 million, and now you're giving Cam Newton $1 million in benefits. So again, it goes back to New England just doing genius type things where you just makes everybody else in the league go, why didn't we pick Cam Newton up if you had a quarterback problem?
Now, there are a lot of miles on those tires for Cam Newton. There's no doubt about that. But he's younger than Russell Wilson. He's younger than Aaron Rodgers. He has been an MVP. He did get to a Super Bowl in that MVP year with Carolina, and his former coach in Carolina, Riverboat Ron, and I don't think it was just nice bromide back of the book quotes. I think he really meant it. Ringing endorsement from him, and along the way, everybody in Cam Newton's football life, at football time, there's not a better student of the game, reportedly.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, when you think of Cam Newton, I mean, love him or hate him, I mean, you can't argue what he's done on the field. You talk about a guy who sacrifices it all, gives his body up, and we've talked about the beatings he's taken, how, a lot of those flags went not pulled because, referees saw this guy as a physical presence who, he kind of went after defensive backs and defenders smaller than him. He wanted to light them up as much as they wanted to light him up in terms of the collision and the physicality of the way he played. So, again, if he's healthy, I think New England's, hit the jackpot. And if he's not healthy, then, it's one of the reasons I think where he was this late, in the process of signing with the team and why teams were hesitant and they didn't pull the trigger very, very early in free agency, because they were, hey, you know what, we know how much is left. But now you mentioned the ages and, going back and look at his numbers. I mean, he missed basically all of 2019, but I went back to his 2018 season and that he almost passed for 70% completion rating. I mean, and when you think about that, that's pretty astonishing. It was like 67.9. So, I mean, basically 60, and that was one of his highest. So, I think when, sometimes people think, well, he's not a good passer or, his game was, I think that speaks volumes when you can have that kind of, completion rating on a team that wasn't that good in Carolina. They really fell off after the one Super Bowl year. But nonetheless, I mean, all the intangibles, the moxie, the karma, the energy, he brings a confidence to a huddle. I mean, when you go in the huddle and you're like, wow, this is a guy that, rips your shirt open and there's an S underneath. That, that if it's 4th and 1 and you need to make a play, you're going to have a lot of confidence that, if he doesn't do it by himself, he's going to be able to deliver a ball to someone else who can, and should be an improved New England offense. They drafted 2 tight ends. We know that was an Achilles heel last year for them. N'Keal Harry, their number 1 pick, slow to develop, but Jacoby Myers came on. So, you got a lot of new developing guys in that offense. It's a matter of making them all mesh. And again, COVID-19, if these guys get when are they going to kind of be able to, mesh and blend and actually, suit up next to one another. But, New England, again, they're New England, it's Belichick. Until they're written off and done, you're always going to have to put them in this cards and say they're still the team to beat amongst, the best.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think regardless of how well Cam Newton turns out, with what they have, especially in that backfield and in the skills positions, New England is still a guaranteed top 3 NFC team. But I have to ask you about this, and I'm going to switch topics a little bit just because when I saw this story, I thought of you, knowing that you're out there in Youngstown, Ohio right now, and I saw the story of your former wide receiver, Jeremiah Braswell, driving his car into Lake Erie yesterday. And I got to know, is that an easy thing to do?
No, it's not. It's not.
You have not done it, have you, Bo?
No, I don't know. Who knows? I might have not done it and not remember. But no, I haven't. No, all joking aside, I saw that story broke. One, you never want to see anybody foul up or mess up. And I knew he was an undrafted free agent. And, if you have that kind of mishap.
And you love those guys.
One, you really sealed the deal in terms of you're probably not going to get another shot. Your opportunity to showcase what you had to do in camp, that's come and gone. And, you're very unlikely going to get another opportunity. So it really hurts. And as weird as it was, I'd say 3 weeks ago, I was running in Mill Creek Park where I do most of my running. And lo and behold, who's training with a couple other players, is none other than Jeremiah Braswell himself. So, I knew who he was. And, I stopped and we were talking for a few minutes, just talking about, him going to Arizona. And, it broke my heart because, now, it was a hot day and he's out there and he's grinded, and those are the things that people don't see. We make so much of Tom Brady, but there's a lot of other players out there trying to get it done and doing what they can to, to be the best shape when they get there. But, a costly mistake. I hope he gets another opportunity. But again, as that undrafted free agent prospect, especially in the midst of where we're at in terms of, they might, today, rumors had it, they may even cut back the training camp roster. So it really, really is a dagger for him to kind of hopefully, for him to have another shot in the National Football League is going to be really, really difficult.
Yeah, Phil Savage liked to always say when he ran the Browns and even now with back being with the Jets, play yourself out of the league on the field. Don't cost yourself a job off the field.
Yeah, so hey, and this goes that way, but it doesn't. I mean, don't drink and drive, regardless of who out there is listening. But I mean, if you want to make a shot in the National Football League and you're on one of those fringe guys, you got to dot the I's, cross your T's, and smile the happiest face. Do everything
and hope it all goes well.
Yeah, and you got to do it. If you do anything, I mean, if you burp in a meeting, you're probably going to get cut. So just do everything you got to do to stay on the path.
All right, Bo, through the years, I won't say that we've been hard on Aaron Rodgers about this, but we have made the comments of Aaron Rodgers just won. Okay, and we know what that means, one title, and that's significant. So many great players would have loved to have had. Dan Fouts would take just one in a second. Kenny Anderson would take just one in a second. How come we don't do just one to Drew Brees and Russell Wilson?
Well, I think Russell, because it came so early, and then the second one they passed the ball instead of handing it off to Marshawn Lynch. So he probably gets a pass there where, he could have. The one thing about that, though, is nobody actually blames Wilson for the interception. It's just the talk of Marshawn.
The call.
The call. So, I think that's one of the things that's like, you think imagine if that was Kirk Cousins that made that specific play. It doesn't matter who was in the backfield. It would have been Cousins' fault, not Pete Carroll's fault. It would have been Kirk Cousins' fault just because he's labeled as a bad quarterback and he can't make the big play. Drew Brees, I think he just puts up such astonishing numbers. And I could be wrong, but I mean, the last few seasons, I still think the Saints are arguably the best team, absent of the Super Bowl victories. I think, the talent, the veteran savvy on both sides of the ball, I thought they were fantastic, but the playoffs, some fouls. But I think Brees has just been so astonishing just statistically. I mean, he basically leads every category.
Kind of like Favre was, because Favre was just one.
Yeah, and Favre was just one, and and he lost one to Denver, a stacked Denver team, and you think about it, I mean, I always think, very few times, we saw Brady and Breeze, or Manning and Breeze, but it really wasn't a great game in terms of those guys lighting up. But I think when you think, Brett Favre, John Elway, that was that was a great, two, iconic guys still at their peaks, but I think Breeze with the statistics and Aaron, I think a little bit of just the magic he brings to the field, and I think people look at Green Bay and understand, Ted Thompson was a GM who, he basically avoided free agency. It was just, the 7 picks you got, via the NFL draft, and that was how you're going to build a team. And I think if you think about it, Green Bay possibly could have been the worst destination for Aaron Rodgers entering the National Football League. I mean, you think that he had to wait 3 or 4 years behind Brett Favre. He had Ted Thompson, who did very little in terms of maximizing, the team in terms of, executing every possible avenue to, surround at points in his career, the best player in the league. And, they failed to do that. And you think about if Aaron Rodgers, we always like to do make-believe. I mean, put Aaron Rodgers on any 31 other teams, he probably has one anyways, possibly 2, at least played in 2, but Green Bay was just so reluctant to go all out. They never really surrounded him with great weapons, and he made a lot of players great, and that's what great players do. They make the players around them that much better. None other than Tom Brady. Very little time with superstars. They brought in the Randy Mosses and those type of guys. But, other than that, it's Julian Edelman's and the Troy Browns and the guys that you really don't pay a lot of attention to. So at the end of the day, everyone's always they're all in the same boat, but everybody's critiqued differently. But I just think their personal success is so great that it's hard to knock them for a lack of anything else because they leave it all on the field. And I think that's why those guys may get passes compared to some other guys who may not get those same kind of, excuses to why haven't you won more.
Yeah, and I think one thing that kind of goes into the Drew Brees getting a pass is just how hard it's always been to win in New Orleans. I mean, wasn't a lot of winning being done before he got there, but switching to a guy that at least personally hope he finishes with at least just one, Lamar Jackson with the Baltimore Ravens, been getting a lot of slack lately on social media and throughout the talk shows nationwide about him being figured out after his MVP season and people dwelling on the fact that he's 0-2 in the playoffs. Do you think that people have actually been able to feel
that's nothing.
Have actually been able to figure out Lamar Jackson?
No, I don't. And I was not high on him. His rookie year. I thought it was more gimmicky. When I saw him last year in Pittsburgh, I'm telling you guys, one of the most amazing guys I've ever seen. I mean,
life-changing.
So fast. Yeah, but it's just when I was watching, he's like in fast motion and slow motion. It's like an oxymoron. Like he's so quick, but it's just almost like how we always kind of talk about Le'Veon Bell and how he would pause and let the game develop. I mean, I think he sees so much and he's so fast and he's ahead of the game by a second or two where he's already knowing what he's doing before you know what you're doing. I was blown away by him and that made me a convinced. I mean, I just saw so many things that he did that day that I was like, wow, this kid is the real deal. And we could go through all these quarterbacks. I mean, Matt Ryan playoff wins, Matthew Stafford playoff wins. So, it takes a team and listen, what the Tennessee Titans did to the Baltimore Ravens, that was just we didn't think this team was as good as we were. And they took it to us. And sometimes that does happen. We've seen it before in the National Football League. I mean, you think about years and years ago.
And they kept giving it to Derrick Henry. And he was a load of cinder blocks that day. The day Lamar Jackson and the Ravens were in Pittsburgh, you texted me that day. And you texted me, I'm seeing something I've never seen before. And Bobby Petrino, for whatever you think of Bobby Petrino, he was a great offensive football coach and a great developer of quarterbacks at every stop he ever had. He said before Lamar Jackson won the Heisman Trophy that he was the smartest quarterback he had ever had in a quarterback room.
And that says a lot. I mean, I've been fortunate enough with the Bombers to be in quarterback rooms, and it's amazing where you see who really knows a lot more than than some of the other guys. And, it's kind of one of those things that, sometimes it's not even the starter who's, kind of making or kind of dissecting things and kind of teaching the quarterbacks. It could be, the backup veteran or the, younger guys. But, I've never heard that, but Petrino is going to know as well as anybody. Like you said, think of what you want, but,
he knows quarterbacks.
Yeah, his quarterbacks. I mean, that's his wheelhouse, and, he's had success at it. But Jackson, again, I was blown away by how talented he was and how well he played the quarterback position. I didn't think he was on that level of some of the quarterbacks we've seen, the last few years. But he's proved to be, worth every penny. And again, the parting gift from Ozzie Newsome, one of the arguably the best GMs we've seen.
Yeah, and Ozzie we always trusted. And Bobby Petrino, he didn't say this in that quote, but after having Ryan Mallett, he knows what smart players are really like. Because Ryan Mallett.
I think you gave more a knock on that if we're going to pair, brilliance mentally with Ryan.
I came to praise. I came to praise. All right, let's see what we know about quarterbacks in that AFC East, and let's rank those quarterbacks. And next week we will do the NFC East, and we will go through all the divisions leading up to the NFL, hopefully starting when we talk to you every Tuesday afternoon. Let's start with your list, Bo, in the AFC East, and let's have everybody reasonably healthy and ready for the season with what we're going through with the shortened offseason and preseason. And let's call the starter in Miami Ryan Fitzpatrick. Your list, 1 through 4. Who's number 1?
I'm going Cam 1, Josh Allen 2, slightly ahead of Sam Darnold. Very, very, very close. It's not something, I say 1, 2, but Cam 1, Allen 2, Darnold 3, and Fitzpatrick 4.
Fitzmagic 4?
You know what? He's going to be 38 in November, and you know what? The magic of Fitzmagic is he's always been the guy that's come in when the Tom Bradys, the Joe Montanas, the Dan Fouts all have left the game. So he's your next best option. There's that certain guy that Miami was supposed to tank for, and regardless if he's healthy enough or if he's ready enough, people are
he is the tanking quarterback.
Yeah,
he's like Miss Congeniality at the Miss America contest. He's always the guy to come in last with.
Yeah, but now when I went back and I looked and I was like, but now he was 10-6 in 2015 with the Jets. Fitzpatrick was, and then he earned the starting job from that year. He got a $12 million full year, 1 year deal with the Jets. He went on basically have his worst season. He was 3-8. He had the lowest pass completion or passer rating of his career. So that was when he was supposed to be the guy. And really, he's not supposed to be the guy in Miami now. But again, I just think there's a little bit more pressure. He had to beat out Josh Rosen last year, who, I just think is ridiculously bad. And then again, you got Tua. Again, he's never had that guy waiting in the background. You could have been a Geno Smith who got punched in the face in 2015. That's why he got to play. There hasn't been a guy where so much hype and talent has been on the bench waiting for him. So I just thinking that the fans, the coaching staff, your teammates, if he has a bad game, I just think it's just so the mental aspect of, hey, let's pull this guy, let's see what this rookie has. So I think that's why I put him last, and I just like the other guys' upside. I think Josh Allen's improving.
True.
I think Darnold's there, and I think heads and shoulders above them. If he's healthy, I think Cam's on another level of those other three quarterbacks. So again, like we said, barring health, and these guys are kind of ready to go, and all the weapons that each team has, I just think Cam's the best. But now I guess I'm going to hear what you guys have to say now.
Well, I'm with you. I think Cam walked in to New England and automatically became the best quarterback in the AFC East, but I actually put Ryan Fitzpatrick as number 2 just due to the fact that I know what I'm getting out of Fitzmagic. It might not be the prettiest.
Me too,
it might not be the best, but at least I know what I'm getting out. Josh Allen, he could have one of the great performances where he throws for 250 yards and also rushed for 150 yards, but he also really, really did not want to win that playoff game last year, and it seems like he was trying to throw it. And with Sam Darnold, who I have at 4th, it's still just too young. I like the upside, but if he's out there seeing ghosts, I don't know what to tell you.
I've got Fitzmagic second, like you, Drew. I've got Allen last. I have Broadway Sam ahead of him. I still love that arm. He's got to get some help. I think the Jets are doing that, and it always helps to have a great offensive line in front of you, and he hadn't had that. But if you put Sam Darnold in Buffalo, do you think Buffalo would take that trade straight up? Sam Darnold for Josh Allen, Bo. Do you think they'd take that trade?
Not today. I think, I like Josh Allen. Yeah, I do. I think both teams be happy. I like Josh Allen, though. I mean, if you're not a Josh Allen guy, then, but
yeah.
And I'm not writing off, when I said second and third with Darnold, I mean, I think Darnold's ready to blossom as well. And I think Josh Allen's ready to blossom. I mean, both these guys made significant improvements last year, and if they can make that third-year jump, then, you're talking like these guys are getting into that next echelon of really good quarterbacks, in the same division. So, I love and when I think of Allen, I mean, one, I like what he does personally, but I mean, I think their offense, talent-wise, I don't think there's another offense in the AFC East that has as much talent as the Bills. I mean, I love Singletary. I think Zach Moss, he could be the next Frank Gore. I know Frank Gore's in, New York with the Jets now, but Zach Moss is, he's not the Cam Akers, the J.K. Dobbins, but I mean, he is a terrific running back. I think he's going to really, really, surprise some people. They brought in Stephon Diggs. I think that's, that was what they were missing. Cole Beasley's that dynamic slot guy. Jerome Brown's, a little bit of that speedster, but Diggs adds another level. I mean, Dwan Knox, I think he's a talented tight end. People are going to really come to know. So I just love the offense. They were 10-6 last year. I just think this is the time for the Bills to kind of rally around, Josh Allen and become, one of the forces in the AFC East for years to come. I think the Jets could be there, but they're just still lacking. I mean, to think that they were 7-9 and they were that bad, I think I think if you looked at the Jets, you're like, what was their record? You'd probably say 5-11, 4-12, 3-13. I said 7-9. You're like, I don't believe it, but they won games. And then Miami, they depleted the team. They had no running game, and Fitzmagic was able to do what he does. But again, I just think Tua plays a role. And then we got New England. And like I said, with Cam, I think he's the best quarterback.
And then we got New England.
Yeah, we got New England. And it doesn't matter. I mean, Belichick could hire Drew, you, and me, and we could go up there and be Pro Bowlers next season. So it's just what he does with no matter who's under center or who's blocking or who's playing defensive tackle, safety. I mean, Belichick's just.
I think I could be, Bo. It had to put me in the slot. I'd be a slow slot receiver for sure. But I think under Belichick, I could kind of be an Edelman type. Yeah, I think that could work. Not a prayer. Hey, Bo, thank you so much for your time today. Happy Independence Day to everyone in Eastern OHIO in Youngstown area near Pennsylvania as well. And we will visit again next Tuesday, and we'll talk about NFC East quarterbacks when we do it then. Thank you.
Fantastic. Have a great holiday weekend, gentlemen.
Thanks, Bo.
You got it. Bo Marchant talking the NFL with us. Fitzmagic, we both had him too.
Yeah.
That could look really bad at the end of the year, Drew.
It probably will, but like I said, and I get where Bo's coming from, the upside for both of them.
Hadn't won many big games.
It's phenomenal for the upside for both of them, but Cam obviously is the first choice, and after that, who am I more comfortable with under center? The two young guys who are probably going to make a lot of stupid decisions, or the old guy who won't make as many bad decisions, still probably make some bonehead decisions, but I just know what I'm getting, and I'd rather take what I know.
I hope it ends well for Cam Newton, and he does enough to add to it. It may take a Super Bowl, but if he got a Super Bowl in New England, then I think he can get the acceptance speech ready for Canton someday. When we come back, we talk about the first half of the year. We rank our top stories, local and national. My word is asymptomatic. We'll get your word, Drew, and we want your word and stories at 360-8255 at the First Bank phone line or at the First Bank text line 67129. We say goodbye to the first half of the year. That's next on Sportstime.
Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and C.J. Hertz. Weekdays from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Ready to take on that painting project? Ask Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off paints and stains with sale prices starting at $26.94 June 19th through 30th. With 30% off our exceptional paints and stains, you can give some color love to your bathroom, living room, or every room in your home. Shop in-store or order online for curbside pickup. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Good news. Southland Casino is now back open. That's right. The most spacious casino floor in the Mid-South is ready to welcome you back to the action with live blackjack, roulette, craps, and all your favorite slots. The action kicks off every day at 9 a.m. and rolls all the way till 5 o'clock the next morning. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and make the short drive to Southland. We're ready for you. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
The Home Depot is cooking up new ways to start summer here and bring summer home. From online ordering to free delivery and convenient store pickup, we're helping make sure taking care of your summer projects is a breeze. And summer savings on all your favorite brands make things even easier. So freshen up the deck, fire up the grill. Summer's here, and it's as close as your own backyard. The Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Family Leisure's here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24-foot pools only $19.99. 4-person spas starting at $19.99. Swim spas starting at under $10,000. We are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give us a call to schedule an appointment or to place an order. Stay safe with Family Leisure.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Home stretch on this Tuesday afternoon, June 30th, the last day of the first half of 2020, and we will have our local and national top 5 stories of this first half of the year. And Drew Barrett co-hosting with me in Dave's absence. Dave taking a few days off. And Drew, almost every story I have down, not all, but almost every story, the cloud, it's there. The virus. And it has been something that will be written and talked about in sports journals, medical journals, business journals, human relations, what it's done to interpersonal relations, to handshaking, to hugging, to get-togethers, what it's going to do, what it's already done to Easter Sunday, what it's going to do to Independence Day celebration. We talked about what it possibly, I don't think it's possible, I think it's real, what it will do to New Year's Eve celebration in Times Square, but what we've already seen, the destruction that it has wrought.
Yeah, we have. And, you know, I'm a big handshake guy, especially being formed in a fraternity. You know, the handshake, it's a big deal. So I still.
I'm a handshake and hug guy.
Exactly. So I still just, without even thinking about it, go in to shake hand. And most people will still shake my hand. But some, but just, hesitate a bit, and then it makes me hesitate. Like, wait, should I be shaking hands? You know, it makes you think, when was the last time I washed my hands? When was the last time I used hand sanitizer? Has it been within the last hour before?
When was the last time they washed their hands is what I'm worried about.
You know, well, I'm more worried about spreading it myself, just due to the fact is being at the age of 25, where it's
asymptomatic, possibly,
and it's more likely for me to die from getting struck by lightning than it is to die from COVID-19. So I worry about my own personal hygiene than actually getting it. I worry more about spreading it.
Yeah, I'd heard of symptomatic. I don't know if that I had ever heard of asymptomatic. I sure hadn't heard it used, just with the frequency and the regularity, and every single day we hear it so much. There have been a lot of them. Do you have a word for the first half of the year?
I do, and I just used my word of the first half of the year, and my word is spread. How does it get spread?
Yep, that's true.
Can you spread it as asymptomatic?
The community spread.
It's community spread. Is it in the air? Is it on objects? How does it get spread? So that's my word for the first 6 months is spread.
And we've been told almost everything on the topics, as we discussed yesterday. This novel coronavirus, we are learning as we go along. Carl, do you have a word of the year for the first half of the year?
Yes, patience.
That is a good word.
We have had that a bunch, and all of us are getting thin on it, aren't we?
Yes, we are. I'm tired of being told to be patient. Darn it, I want the vaccine. I want the treatments. I want it now. I want to get back to some type of normalcy where I don't have to think of a word to describe 6 months of a pandemic almost.
Normalcy's way up there, too. It's been used a lot. Surreal's been used a lot. All right, Drew, you start nationally with your 5 to 1. Start at the bottom and work up.
All right, so nationally, all of my stories are related to the COVID-19 pandemic, or things that aren't really what's going on fields, on tracks, or anything like that. So number 5, the XFL comes and unfortunately goes. I actually really did start to enjoy the XFL, being a Dallas Renegades fan, being a hashtag Hellraiser. So I was pretty sad to see XFL go.
You know how much I watch the XFL, don't you?
I still to this day think that you had to try. You tried not to
Zero.
watch it. You tried
not a highlight.
to avoid
No,
it.
I promise I didn't. I promise I didn't try.
I just don't see how.
It was quite easy.
I don't see how.
It was really. I can tell you how. Two letters, one used twice from the year before. AAF.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. But I think the XFL, I thought it had a little bit better of a product. I really did. And I like their quirky rules a lot better than the AAF quirkiness. Number 4, Olympics being moved to 2021, and just how much that initially screwed up scheduling-wise for everything else returning. You know, our golf tournament was supposed to be this weekend due to the Olympics. Now, it's been moved. Other golf tournaments has had to been moved around, and so many other sporting events has gotten moved around due to the cancellation of the Olympics. Number 3, Bubba Wallace leads change in NASCAR, helping get rid of the Confederate flag at NASCAR races and create the racial unity that he has around NASCAR, and really change the image of the sport and take it from
overnight.
Take it from most novelist people thinking that it's just a bunch of good old boys who are really into their cars, trucks, and Confederate flags to no, these are good people. We don't believe in that type of races and that type of hate that is so often associated with our sport. So he was able to create so much unity in that sport and change the image of it. So that's why it's number 3. Number 2, NCAA tournament gets canceled due to COVID-19, and it's number 2 for me just because how much I love my silly little bracket. And any year that I don't have my silly little bracket, it just hurts. And number 1,
it did hurt.
It did. And number 1, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be number 1 on your list and pretty much everybody else's list out there. It's the one thing that started it all: Rudy Gobert night. It's number one
Rudy
sports.
Gobert night.
Number one sports story, and what he did before that night with the mocking, with the touching of the phones and the microphones.
It's all fun and games then, wasn't it?
Everybody had a little chuckle, but I don't know how many people have caught it just from the act of touching those phones.
Well, and Donovan Mitchell, his teammate, very aggravated with him and the fallout from him. Hold off on your newsmaker until I give mine, and then we'll get to national newsmaker number 5 for me. And it was crushing when the news came during this show on that Friday the 13th. And I'm not a superstitious person at all. I don't mind Friday the 13th at all. Heck, I don't mind broken mirrors. I'll find me a ladder. I'll walk right under it. But that Friday the 13th, and I knew 2 days after Rudy Gobert, if they're moving that fast with the intel that they were getting, that if the crew at Augusta National was scared to have a golf tournament a month later, we were in for the long haul. The day the news of the Masters being for now and then postponed, not canceled, but postponed, that was a watershed moment for me. Number 4, this was one of the good stories of 2020, and there aren't many. I mean, they're hard to find. If you wanted to just be the ultimate optimist and try to find 5 good stories, it would be difficult to do. You had really one with Bubba Wallace, and while that was a good story,
there's also some negativity in it too.
Yeah, and it was painstaking to get there with a good story. My number 4, a great story. Super Bowl champs, Kansas City, that venerable franchise, and what Patrick Mahomes did in that game, and with that throw on third down when it felt like they were beat, that the 49ers with Jimmy G were going to win the Super Bowl and keep the drought going back to the Hank Stram days. But Patrick Mahomes, he put on that show and really dominated the fourth quarter, and the Chiefs were champions. Number 3 for me was number 2 for you, and that is March Sadness. And it was from the tournaments being pulled down after the Wednesday night play. The Big East, still have to give them credit. They went out there and played that first half. They tried on Thursday morning to no avail, and then all the rest of the weekend for tournament finals, the bracket selection show on Sunday night, and the tournament, and what I think the best Thursday and Friday of the sports calendar year, all gone. Number 2 for me was Wednesday night, March 11th. Had been to the Grizzlies game the night before on March 10th, and were fearful that something might be happening. Dave, very prescient, that afternoon said, everything changes when one of these players get it. Well, Rudy Gobert got it, and did it change? Number 2 for me. But number 1 for me was it is still, and it is sad, it's not virus related, but it was sad, the passing of Kobe Bryant, and the entire world in mourning for him, and the strength of his widow. It's still remarkable what think of the year that she's had, and you throw in the virus, but losing her husband and a child, and having to really have her mourning in public like she had to do, I thought was very, very, very powerful. You're newsmaker of the first half of the year.
Well, right now I'm just sitting here kicking myself for somehow forgetting about Kobe Bryant. And the day that I found out, the Sunday I was driving around and somebody calls me and says,
Bo
hey,
Marchant texted me.
What happened to Kobe? What happened to Kobe? And I was like, man, I don't know. And they're like, on Twitter it says he's dead. I was like, no, I doubt it. I turn on the radio station. I'm flipping through, hear some reports, and then the story breaks. And, Kobe has been one of the few athletes to pass away where it actually hits me because, and just like a lot of people my generation, if it wasn't for Kobe, I don't know if a lot of us would have grown and loved NBA basketball as much as we do, because Kobe was just that big of a figure to all of us in my generation. So I feel terrible for leaving him off.
That's okay, Carl. You're a gigantic Kobe fan and Lakers fan, right?
I was a very, very big Laker fan, and I was actually here in studio when I got the news. Sunday was about to run church service, and
it was a Sunday.
I got a text saying, bro, they saying, Kobe passed. I didn't believe it at first, just like I'm pretty sure everybody else did. And next thing I know, I looked on ESPN, it just broke everywhere. And, like, I still honestly have not gotten over it.
I understand that. I do. Bo Marchant sent me a text that day with a screenshot of, I think, a picture of him with Kobe, and he said, "This one hurts." And, you know, I just I'd kind of been off the grid a little bit and just had heard nothing like you guys both were talking about. And then, you know, as we do, start scanning the Twitter machine, and it was sadly true. And I got to the TV and turned it on. Okay, locally, I'll start, and then, Drew, you go, and then we'll have our local figures. Number 5 for me, Precious Achiuwa. He turns pro, and I think he will be drafted in the top 15 to 18 at the latest 20 picks. But Precious Achiuwa, after a stellar first year for the Tigers and fun watching him compete and play so hard down the stretch, he turns pro. Number 4, and it was official today. I don't know anybody that was shocked by it. No Memphis Redbirds, no minor league baseball. For me, it really stings. I go to a lot of games. I love baseball. I love AutoZone Park. I love the Memphis Redbirds. I like their affiliation with my team, the St. Louis Cardinals. For me, no Redbirds, number 4. Number 3, the Tigers losing 8 conference games this year in a bad AAC. That's got to improve going forward. Number 2, the Grizzlies playoff push delayed by the virus, but we have enjoyed Ja Morant, and we see what can happen in the future for Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. And number 1, about 2 weeks ago, and completely virus-related, the formal announcement of the cancellation of the Southern Heritage Classic. That will not be the last cancellation of the year in our area.
No, it certainly won't. You hate to see that happen to such a great tradition here in the Bluff City. But for my top 5, number 5, I went with Isaac Bruce gets selected to the Football Hall of Fame. That did happen this year, earlier in January.
That's a great one.
Number 4, Mike Miller leaves University of Memphis. Number 3, Precious becomes lottery pick. Number 2, and very recent, actually just fully went into effect about 44 minutes ago, and I think it's a big local story. The flag being changed down in Mississippi, and it really shows just what type of power athletes, not just on professional level, but college athletes and college coaches have in their state and in their community to truly make a difference. And if it wasn't for the players at Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Southern Miss, Delta State, name them all, really showing.
Kylan Hill really moved it.
Really
he really did. When he said, I'm not playing if it's still there. And the unified force, you're right, that was good. You're number 1?
Number 1, Ja Morant's Rookie of the Year season, and he is my local sports newsmaker of the year.
Mine too. Ja is. It was not a lot of Ja mania in the building, but if you were there, you got plenty of it. There were nights that we sat right by each other at FedEx Forum that we would just laugh at some of the plays. I mean, truly out of the opening tip, he's doing things that we have never seen a player do here, and we are in for a future with him of Hall of Fame proportions, and we hope that a championship accompanies it. So pretty easy for both of us to have Ja.
Yeah. And I never actually really got to my national sports person because we were talking about Kobe. And I went with Rudy.
You're right.
I went with Rudy Gobert because for the rest of his life and the rest of his children's lives, his name will never not be associated with COVID-19.
It'll be Rudy Gobert night. I went a little more positive, and I did it intentionally, and I went Patrick Mahomes. And it was the first of many. He could win 2 or 3 more. And with Andy Reid, the Chiefs could become very dynastic. It's not going to stop at 1, do you think, with Mahomes?
No, he's going to get 2 or 3. I'd put my money on 3.
I would put money for sure easily at 2, and I think 2 could come soon. 2 could come this year. It could come back to back. You see what he has offensively, what they did in the draft with the good running back from LSU, and that offensive line. And we know in football, and Phil Steele's magazine's hitting, and it's the gold standard to him returning starts of offensive linemen, and you look at 5 across for the Kansas City Chiefs, and they have the most next year in the NFL. Very, very little upheaval there for them. Now, in the future, that will change because some of those offensive linemen will get big free agent deals, and it's hard to keep them. And then that's when Patrick Mahomes will really be kind of out there having to do it by himself. But now he's not having to do it by himself. He's got plenty of weapons around him. The very real possibility of him going back to back. Good list, good job, guys. And what is in store for us for this next half of the year? I shudder to think if it's worse. Let's hope it's not. Let's try to be hopeful and try to be appreciative always of what we have, and hopefully we will have plenty of sports in this back half of the year with a lot to catch up on. We close out this day with a lot to catch up on. We do it next with Taco Bell Crunch Time on Sports Time.
It's R&R on Sports.
The word is out about R&R on Sports, where you've heard interviews from Ken Griffith Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more. R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1. Don't miss us.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC. Great news, sports fans. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse is now open for dine-in service. Make a reservation and enjoy a mouth-watering steak dinner. Or, if you prefer, take it curbside. In addition to their fantastic steaks, the Butcher Shop Steakhouse has a variety of entrees, including Canadian lobster tail, crab-stuffed shrimp, pan-seared red snapper, and fresh ground steak burger with portobello mushroom sauce. Planning a 4th of July cookout? The Butcher Shop Steakhouse offers a great selection of fresh Angus beef, hand-cut steaks and burgers, lamb chops, Atlantic salmon, and more. Make your reservation for dine-in or pre-order for curbside pickup. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, dine-in, curbside, and delivery. Plus, enjoy the sizzle of top-quality Butcher Shop steaks on your own grill. Call us at 757-4244 and visit our website, thebutchershop.com, for menus and more. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, Walnut Grove and Germantown Parkway.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
Come on, one more rep. You got this. 10. There it is. Nice work, man. You're a beast.
Thanks, man. I feel better than I have in years. And I got to tell you, taking Nugenix makes a huge difference for me.
Nugenix? That's the testosterone booster with TV ads with Frank Thomas. The big hurt, right?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is Testofen, which helps boost free testosterone levels and increase lean muscle mass.
Well, it's clearly working for you. Hey, are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try for themselves?
Yeah, Nugenix is a great way to increase lean muscle and feel stronger with more energy and endurance.
Man, I need to get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix.
No problem. You just got to send them a text. Text BICEP to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of new Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help get you back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text BICEP to 42424. That's BICEP to 42424.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
The Home Depot is cooking up new ways to start summer here and bring summer home. From online ordering to free delivery and convenient store pickup, we're helping make sure taking care of your summer projects is a breeze. And summer savings on all your favorite brands make things even easier. So freshen up the deck, fire up the grill. Summer's here, and it's as close as your own backyard. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working? It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Woo! Woo! Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Drew, I learned today they've always been the smart kids, but the ESPN.com deep dive on the influence on Major League Baseball from the Ivy League. It started with Boston Red Sox hiring Theo Epstein, but now the tentacles are there, and also the little Ivies like Amherst and Tulane. But I know this, you can have all, and they are, you can have all the smart kids in the room you want, but here's what baseball comes down to. Get them on, get them over, get them in.
Yeah, that's basically
get them out.
You can have all your analytics that you want. I'll take the opinion of the 30-year scout before that. What I learned today is that Colin Kaepernick will be the subject of a 6-part series on Netflix. The series will be called Colin in Black and White. Will explore the quarterback's high school years, attempting to show the experiences and insight that has led to his activism. Kaepernick will appear as a narrator with an actor playing him as a youth in the scripted drama of a black child adopted by a white family.
Looking forward to that. Colin Kaepernick, as we've heard for weeks from Bo Marchant, was just an enthralling, engaging young man down at the Senior Bowl, and what was done to him is almost unforgivable. He's got a lot of football to get back from someone I could have done without last night, even though I loved the documentary on Eddie Sutton. It was very thorough. It was the complete timeline, warts and all, stumbles, heartbreak, elation, sadness, but I thought they missed out on not having more Tony Allen in it. And Tony Allen, as you texted me, there was never a 3D player like him, and that was on the back of every practice shorts Eddie Sutton ever had of any team. He was the quintessential guy to do that. What is you could have done without?
I could have done without what I brought it up with Bo Marchant, the somewhat slate talk on Lamar Jackson here in June. I guess they're getting started on their July radio or July talk a little early because, I mean, he's 0-2. He's still a young guy. I mean, just won the MVP in only his second year, and we're already going to slide him and say that he might be a bust. Come on, get out of here. MVP being a bust, you're crazy.
Yeah, we're going to keep a close eye tonight for me. Deadline approaching for NBA tomorrow and for baseball. They've got a little more time, but deadline tomorrow. We know what deadlines do. Will we have any blockbuster NBA announcements on who may be not showing? Musa Cisse pushing his decision back. Also, we will be celebrating tonight. Happy 69th birthday to Tubby Smith. You going to celebrate?
Sure, I'll drink one with Tubby. Or 4.
He was a good man. What are you watching tonight?
I'm going to keep a close eye on the MLB, NBA, and hopefully any news that the NHL ever starts.
And the NHL, that looks like they're getting close as well. I want to thank Darryl Smith, Brent Beard, Ron Tillery, and Bo Marchant. Tomorrow we will visit with TJ Reeves, John Goen, Rick Harrow, and Matt Murchell, and we will have SEC quarterbacks 1 through 14 tomorrow when we do this again. For Carl, for Drew, I'm Brett. Everyone have a safe Tuesday night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. How old is your water heater? With most of the water heaters in the Mid-South located in the attic, the worst day you can replace your water heater is one day too late. It may be time for